have to put it back in again. QC in the first break.
I don't know how long it was going to take me to figure out.
Wow, that was weird. You just boom, you just jumped. You never do that. You just jumped in.
I don't know how long it was going to take me to figure out that the reason that I couldn't hear a gosh darned thing when we started the show there mere seconds ago was because of the fact that my headphones just weren't plugged in.
You know, I did that yesterday. You didn't notice, and I was doing all this fumbling around. It's like, oh, didn't plug them in.
Yeah, sheer moment of panic and chaos ensued. I'm like, no, not this early. What is that? We can have problems, but we can't have them at 6 a.m. I got to be able to roll in here at 6 a.m. and just push the mic and say go. I can't hear anything. I was like, I got a little switch on the headphones, turns them on and off. They're battery operated, noise canceling because I'm a professional.
So you thought your battery died again?
No, because the thing is, if the noise canceling's not on, you can still kind of hear hear it very faint in the background, right? So I'm like, oh no, it can't be the battery because I can hear. It's good, and I changed it yesterday. We should be good. It's not that. I'm like looking around. I'm okay. We plug our headsets into these little boxes on the desk that are kind of the audio central station. I'm like plugging into that. I'm like, no, it's not that. Like I'm shaking it because sometimes the connections in it come loose and like just a little wobble will get it all right. I'm like, can't be that. Don't know what it is. And then, I mean, sometimes you gotta grab it and shake it a little bit to make it work, you know? Sometimes you gotta grab it and shake it. So I'm like, nah, that's not it. And then as I go to turn the volume knob, I'm like, something's wrong. Nope, didn't plug the headset in. How does Jason Statham keep making the same movie and I keep wanting to watch it?
Yeah, that's I've noticed the same. It's like, hold on, that's just the same plot. Yeah, but look what he just did to that dude.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
How does Jason Statham keep making the same movie and I keep giving him money to do it? I mean, I guess when you find your thing, and good on him for doing it. But didn't we just get The Beekeeper like 10 minutes ago, and it's the same movie?
These are from the makers of The Beekeeper.
So wait.
Now he's just a construction worker.
So it's not just Statham. So there's a team of people that say, all right, guys, idea for a new flick. Jason Statham is kind of like a regular dude, but somebody kidnaps a woman that he loves and takes her away, and then Jason Statham grunts and karate kicks his way through 90 minutes of action. We'll have like 6 to 10 explosions, okay? Then Jason Statham savagely murders a couple of these people, justifiably. Okay. And then he gets the girl back, and the same people have made this movie now multiple times in a row, and I'm going to watch every one of them.
Because the internet is listening to us talking, our phones are, I refreshed my X, and right there on the top, Jason Statham plays a black ops specialist turned construction worker who uses his skills to save his boss's daughter in A Working Man, arriving in theaters this Friday. So they kidnapped his boss's daughter. Of course he's ex-Black Ops, because he might actually be ex-Black Ops. I don't know. So if you're ex-Black Ops, do you tell people you're ex-Black Ops?
About I don't know, 15 years ago, there was a movie came out called In the Name of the King. And we've probably talked about this movie before. It is one of my favorite movies of all time because of how god-awful it is. It's Statham doing the exact same movie, except it's set in like Dungeons and Dragons fantasy world.
It was based on the game Dungeon Siege, which was a very good game where you start out as a farmer and then you work your way into
great,
doing
fantastic.
all the stuff.
It's the same movie.
Yeah, it is.
He made that movie. It was one of my favorite movies of all time because I went with my dear friend Tom Siren, bassist in my band. We were like, okay, hang on now. We get Jason Statham karate kicking his way through a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. This is going to be incredible. And Burt Reynolds is in it. Let's go.
And Matthew Lillard. So, yeah.
And what's his face? Ray Liotta is in that movie. I'm like, how's this not going to be amazing? So we paid real American money to go see this movie in a theater. 30 minutes into the movie, we're both sitting there like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen, but I paid for it. Let's stick it out. And we ended up turning this into our own MST3K. We're just mocking. Burt Reynolds, they hyped the crap out of Burt Reynolds as the king.
He was so bored.
They hyped the crap out of Burt Reynolds as the king in this movie. And he's in the movie for one scene. And he's a sick king laying on I don't know what you call it, but like, you know how in the movies they all carry the king around on a bed
I think you're
cart?
Exaggerating. I think he was in there for more than one scene.
I do. It was maybe two, but he was a sick king, and I think he died, but I don't really remember. All right?
I don't remember.
I think he died, but whatever. Like, that was it. They hyped me. And then there's Ray Liotta, and he's an evil wizard taking over the kingdom. Except for Ray Liotta in mafia movies, fantastic. Ray Liotta in anything else, terrible, right? And he's this evil wizard, and he's like, I'm going to take over the kingdom. I'm going to use my dark magic to take over the kingdom. And that, they don't even interact till like the last 5 minutes of the movie.
So you were offended from a Dungeons and Dragons standpoint?
No, not offended, because I've watched this movie probably 6 times since then because it's so bad. But forget whether the movie's good or bad. The point is, it was the same movie. The movie starts with Jason Statham, just regular working guy, except in this case, he's on a farm in a fantasy peasant land with dragons and magic and wizards and stuff. And he's just a regular farmer. And then
someone has to till the land in those places, you know?
Don't care. Like, fine. I'm just saying.
You make it sound like it's weird that someone's on a farm.
No. What I'm saying is weird here. There's this fantasy movie where Jason Statham is just an everyday guy. And then his wife gets kidnapped off the farm by an evil wizard. And then he goes on a karate-kicking adventure to go rescue her. And he's remade that movie 50 times since then. And I'm going to watch it every time. Except sometimes they replace the evil wizard or the mafia boss or the ninja guy or whoever Jason Statham's got to kick. They replaced him in one movie with the megalodon. He had to go kick a giant shark in the face. Or they'll replace it with like dark, evil, creepy monster in the closet. And then he's got to go karate kick a monster or whatever. It's just Jason Statham makes the same movie and I keep giving him money for it. He's the definition of typecast and I'm the definition of absolutely okay with it, right? I'm just fine with it. Love it. I saw the trailer for this movie. I don't even know why I'm so passionate about this. I saw the trailer for this movie last night. It's just that I appreciate, if nothing else, the fact that they just went ahead and called it Working Man. They're just like, you know what? Let's just cut right to the chase here. It's every Jason Statham movie you've ever been. Jason Statham is a working man who's white. And they just were like, you know what, dude? We're kind of out of titles at this point.
You think there's like a Toby Keith song starting off the movie or something? I mean, you know, something down to earth country working man type stuff.
It's 100%. That movie's 100% starting with like a solo acoustic guitar.
No way. Starting with country.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like a classic Western country solo acoustic guitar and just like bing, da ding, 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 da, ding. And then it's Jason Statham and he's going to be like, you know, he's going to be like he's a construction worker. So he's going to have the hard hat and the thing, and he's going to be out. Like, scene 1 is him punching. For some reason, in 2025, he'll still have one of those punch-in, punch-out hanging on the wall clocks from the old Flintstone cartoon days, and he'll punch in, and then he'll be walking.
Like you've never had to punch in and out with.
I've literally never had to punch into a wall hanging punch clock. Literally never.
Well, it didn't punch it. It did the ink thing.
Yes, Lonzo, but you started in the workforce 30 years before me. Of course you did.
It wasn't that much before you.
Jason Statham's going to walk in and he's going to punch into a wall clock with like one of those sheets of paper. I don't even know how they work. And then he hangs it in that rack on the wall where everybody's cards are found. And then he's going to have, hey, first and foremost, he's going to have like an old metal hard lunchbox, like a lunch pail. And he's going to walk by and the guy's going to be like, I'm going to need you to do extra time today, Jason Statham's character. And his character's going to go, I've got to get home to the wife. He's not Australian. I don't know why he's Australian right there.
Oh, no. I think he's like secretly dating the boss's daughter.
I mean, it's going to be something. Yeah. But like whoever it is, the boss is going to be like, going to need an extra shift today, Jason Statham's character. And Jason Statham's character is going to be like, I've got date night with the wife. I can't do it. And he's going to be like, it's that or you lose your job, Jason Statham's character. And Jason Statham's character is going to be like, oh, no, can't lose my paycheck because I've got to be able to take my wife on date night. And then Jason Statham's boss is going to be like, get to it, man. And so it's going to be a montage of him on the construction site, probably like with a jackhammer so that they can show him with his sleeves rolled up and his shredded body vibrating for the ladies. And then they're going to do the next scene, and it's going to be like him driving a cement mixer to the next spot or whatever. And then his character is going to get off after having to pull a double, and he's going to go home, and wouldn't you know it, spoiler alert, Jason Statham's wife, who he stayed extra time at work so he could pay for date night, he's going to go back to the crib, and there's going to be a note that says, if you ever want to see your wife again. And there's going to be some stupid demand he's got to meet. And then it's just 90 minutes of Jason Statham karate kicking dudes in the head to get his wife back. And spoiler alert, she'll either be dead already, and then the bad guy's going to get murdered, or she's going to be alive in a very precarious situation where Jason Statham has to make a choice about sacrifice or saving his wife, and he's going to make the sacrifice to bring her back, and that's going to be it. I can't wait. I am going to pay whatever I need to see Jason Statham, working man, save his wife for the umpteenth time in his career. I can't wait.
There is no other action hero right now, is there? Other than Jason Statham?
Man, here's the thing. Are we really still making classic action movies?
Well, yeah, anything Jason Statham.
No. Anything outside of Statham. I'm saying, is there John Wick over the past couple of years, I would say is in the action movie category. Yeah. So you've got Keanu, dude.
Well, the latest edition of that's coming out soon, Ballerina.
Yeah.
But it's not him, although he's in it.
It's a John Wick story, but it's not John Wick. Tom Cruise is still making Mission Impossibles, and don't get me wrong, also that.
Pretty sure he dies in this one.
Well, this one's called The Last Testament or something.
Pretty sure he's going to die. Yeah.
But we have a couple of franchises, but we're not really doing classic action anymore.
When you think of Tom Cruise, you don't think of action hero in the vein of Arnold or Sylvester Stallone and those guys back in the day where you knew that's the kind of movie they were putting out. I
don't know. What has Tom Cruise been in the last couple of years that's not Top Gun or Mission Impossible? I agree, the beginning of the Tom Cruise career was obviously, some rom-coms, a couple of what's the Show Me the Money movie? That one, the football movie that I'm blanking on the name of.
Well, it wasn't a football movie. It was a romantic movie.
It was a football movie with love stories in it. Whatever. The point is,
Cuba Gooding Jr.
It's got we're just out of action movies at this point.
Kane says Liam Neeson, but Liam Neeson is not. I mean, he says, I hate guns. I cannot stand guns. And then he does another movie where he does nothing but uses guns through the entire movie. I just, I don't get that.
I mean, it is, and this is funny, called acting.
Yeah, I know. But still, it seems hypocritical.
There was
I'm just a practical guy.
I don't think it's hypocritical. I think it's acting. I'm sure there's a lot of, I don't know if you know this, there's a lot of guys in football movies who don't watch football. But if they're going to pay me the money...
That's a lie. You can't prove it.
Okay. So, I had a clip. I just got rid of it because I never got around to it. But I had a clip from Harrison Ford when he was doing his press tour for the Captain America movie. And he was...
You still haven't seen it yet, have you?
No, I have not. He's doing...
April says Jerry Maguire. Thank you, April.
That was it. Thank you, April. He was doing a press tour for the new Captain America movie. Spoiler alert, because they put it in the damn commercials. He's Red Hulk. And so some behind the scenes footage, whatever came out of him acting like the Red Hulk, and it's just 80-year-old Harrison Ford rolling around on the ground, rah, screaming as the not like as the Red Hulk, but just Harrison Ford. And this guy doing the podcast is like, "Hey, how do you do that and not feel like an idiot, right? You got to kind of feel dumb, just like rolling around on the ground, just you being like, ah." And Harrison Ford says to him, "I don't want to burst your bubble, but that's what the money is for. That's why I get money to do that." So it really makes it easy when there's 7 zeros on a paycheck.
Oh man, and being a mocap artist, it's I think it's above being a Foley artist for me now.
Motion capture for you rookies out there.
Yeah. So, but none of those listen to this show. Everyone is a pro listening to this show. I would love to be a mocap artist for all the fat guy actors. I'm willing to do that.
When they come out with a Grimace live action movie, Lonzo's got you.
That's wrong. Okay, that's not because my fat don't settle in the middle. It's just like it's everywhere. So no.
All right,
that was hurtful. I quit.
You've made 70 old jokes in the past 3 weeks. We'll call it even.
Yeah, but Grimace? I mean, come on.
It's because Punk called Seth Grimace the other day, and it's been in my head ever since. It's a good joke. You said you wanted to be the mocap actor for the fat guys out there.
I did, but not Grimace.
Well, you got, who's your CGI representation?
Jack Black.
He's Jack Black. You don't have to mocap Jack Black. He's actually Jack Black. If you want Jack Black, you don't have to CGI Jack Black. You just hire Jack Black. He'll do anything. He's in the Minecraft movie.
That's what he wants you to think. That's how good he is.
All right, we got a lot we got to get to on the radio today. Actual sports coming up on the show over the next 4 hours.
Jason Statham is actual sports. He's a martial artist. Thank you.
Yes.
You don't need to justify.
Yes, the Working Man movie.
I don't know why you justify all the time.
That hot
that
takes.
was, I mean, come on.
Well, because I want to appease Dewey, who just texted, "Your taste in movies suck. Talk sports. This show should be called The Lonzo Show."
See? I mean, he's right, but it's fine. It's fine.
Coming up on the show today, we will jump into our early Sweet 16 predictions, projections, and prognostications, see if we can correctly select the Elite Eight. We'll talk a little about the women's side as well. South Carolina now knows their Friday opponent in Birmingham as Maryland wins a double OT thriller over the Crimson Tide last night. They will take on the Lady Gamecocks and Dawn Staley on Friday. We'll get into that. We got to talk a little baseball now. 2 days away from opening day. Looking forward to that on Thursday. The Braves made some moves over the weekends. We didn't get a chance to evaluate them yesterday. We will do so today, and a whole heck of a lot more. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Rob Brown. He is the great one. 4 hours of excellence starts right now. It's the Lonzo Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, guys, live read right out of the gate. Stay right there. We'll be right back, please, and thank you.
couldn't tell
Yep.
from is kidnapped. So that's why he's got to eat. So he goes up against human traffickers.
So somebody gets kidnapped, Jason Statham karate kicks people. So it's taken. I just want it on the record. I do like Jason Statham. I wasn't making fun of Jason Statham. I mean, I was making fun of Jason Statham's like movie genre. I'm just saying I do like Jason Statham. Don't get that wrong. I'm a fan.
He's just worried Jason Statham will find
He's going to
out.
karate kick me in the face. I didn't,
Who doesn't want to see that? I
Jason
mean,
Statham, I've never kidnapped anybody. Okay? It's not in my game.
well,
Hey.
if you did, you wouldn't admit to it because
also
statute
true.
of limitations and all that stuff. yeah.
Mainly because Jason Statham might show up and karate kick me in the face, and I'm not trying to have that. All right, we got a couple of things going on right now as we get set for Major League Baseball's opening day on just a couple of days away. What is it, the 27th, which makes it Thursday, if my memory serves me correctly.
That would be the day after tomorrow.
That would indeed be the day after tomorrow. We have a few more spring training games tomorrow. I believe the boys are off on Tuesday. No, it's Thursday. Yeah, opening day. ESPN tipping off with the first pitch at 3 p.m. We got all 28 of 30 teams.
So I'm confused. I thought opening day was last week in Japan.
So this is a discussion. Those two games were regular season Major League Baseball games for the Cubs and the Dodgers. But this is opening day. There are two teams that have played two games. Everybody else is playing spring training games today and tomorrow. They will be off on Wednesday. They will play their first games on Thursday, with the exception of two teams. The Chicago Cubs and the LA Dodgers did both play in Tokyo last week on, Friday and Saturday. Or no, Thursday and Friday. They played in Tokyo. And so Tuesday and Wednesday. I can do this. Tuesday and Wednesday in Tokyo. Those games did count. And this has actually been a conversation ongoing in Major League Baseball is I don't think, especially with the increased presence of Japanese and Korean players in Major League Baseball, as those two countries have been absolutely pipelining some megastars to the United States, that baseball fans, because of how many regular season games there are upset about regular season games taking place internationally. Those two games, obviously, in Tokyo and the Tokyo Dome. What I do think baseball fans have been upset about is not only do those two games count as regular season games, but they happened literally over a week before the rest of the teams start playing. Now, Major League Baseball's rationale for sending those teams to Japan to start the year and doing so a week and 2 days before the Major League Baseball season kicks off with the other 28 teams in baseball is that they wanted to have time for the Dodgers and the Cubs to get on a big old jet airliner, fly back to the United States, and get their body clock reset. Allow them some days to get over the jet lag because you're playing on the other 12 hours, right? Like it's the other side of the world. That's why those games were going first pitch at like 5:45 in the morning here in the States. It was 5:45 at night there, or whatever time it was, somewhere in that neighborhood. You get it. So the fight has been for a while. If you want to send teams to Japan to play, it's understandable, especially the Dodgers, right? You've got not one, but two of the biggest names in Japanese baseball history, Shohei Ohtani and Sasaki. You got two of the biggest names in Major League Baseball from Japan on the same roster. And I also believe that Chicago has like two or three big name Japanese and Korean players on it as well. So it makes sense that Major League Baseball would want to keep that market open. Because I'll tell you right now, of all the teams, of all the leagues, the NBA, the NFL, Major League Baseball, etc., the two that could easily be the most successful internationally are Major League Baseball and the National Hockey League. The NHL is, I don't want to say predominantly, but pretty much predominantly made out of players from the international community. The NHL does have obviously teams in Canada. If the NHL wanted to go international, they could absolutely put a franchise in Sweden, Finland, if we ever get it fixed, Russia, and those teams would do well. Now, obviously, the problem baseball and hockey have is that it's not just they have so many games, is that those games are all within a day or two of each other, meaning you'd have to send teams over to Europe to do like a 12, 13, 14 game road swing of all the games in Europe. And then when a team from Europe comes to the States, they'd have to pretty much play all the NHL teams in the States. Like, it's a lot of logistics.
So there's 182 games, right?
Well, I'm talking hockey right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
but with baseball, if they go international, it would kind of be the same thing, right? It would be, we're going to send a team to Japan, and they're going to play 10 games in a row on the road at Japan. And then the Japanese team is going to come to the States and play 28 consecutive games, one in every stadium on a swing across the continental United States before they go back to Japan and play 28 consecutive games at the crib. However, I don't ever think that is going to happen. What I think is, honestly, and this is probably way off in the future, but if those two leagues, hockey and baseball, ever do decide to go fully international. Obviously, with football, you're talking about a spot where if a team's got to go to Europe, you could give them, the Thursday night game, and then we'd play Sunday night in Europe or whatever it is, and then you would give them the bye week. So you could send a team to Europe, and you could stretch the games before and after out so that teams could go to Europe, whatever. And then the team from Europe, if they came to the States, when they come to the States, maybe you give them the longest away streak that you can twice, right? Maybe the team from Germany comes here and plays 2 consecutive 4-game road swings. And then they get 2 consecutive 4-game home swings to make up for it back in Europe. I think what is more likely, specifically for baseball and hockey, should they ever elect to go international, is that Major League Baseball will prop up and I know this phrase is problematic, please be aware, but a separate but equal Major League Baseball league somewhere in Europe and Asia, right? Like you would have a European-Asian Major League Baseball league. I think this would be a very long-term deal because right now Major League Baseball is making a bleep load of money by bringing the Shohei Ohtanis here to the United States to play in front of us. But if Major League Baseball had branch or whatever in Japan, and a guy like a Shohei saw Major League Baseball Asia, Major League Baseball Europe, whatever, as an equal baseball league to American Major League Baseball, so they could stay in Japan, play in front of their home country, play in front of their countrymen, play in front of in stadiums that they grew up learning to play pro ball at, et cetera, but making the same amount of money, then that would justify it. But I think if that's going to happen, it's like years off. I do have an issue.
Why doesn't MLB just go over and buy one of the Japanese leagues? Can they?
I don't know is the answer to that. It's a good question. I mean, Japanese pro baseball, like there is one major pro baseball league in Japan. Could Major League Baseball just buy it, be like, that's ours now? And maybe. I also know, like my other thought is, if that ever happens down the line, what you would end up seeing is like a true world championship, right? That league would operate on its own. It would declare a champion. Major League Baseball, like the traditional American Major League Baseball, would declare a champion. Maybe we have Major League Baseball Europe, they would declare a champion. And then maybe we have like a 4-team tournament to determine the truth. You would have the World Series champ over here in the Japanese World Series, the Asian World Series champ, European World Series champ, African World Series champ. And then, or Central South American, I think would probably be more likely. Here's the problem. If you did say Central South American League, Ronald Acuna Jr. might stay in Venezuela to play his ball. Look at how many Central and South American players are in Major League Baseball, right? So I to the folks that think that that is a long-term prospect, my answer is if Major League Baseball can make more money doing it, then they will. But realistically, I don't think it happens because the amount of effort that would go into propping up, say, a Central and South American squad or league and creating everything that goes into that. Probably be easier to find out the logistics of just like having a team in Brazil, right? In Rio. And flying Major League Baseball's teams down there and back. And maybe when you go to Brazil, you play a 5 or 6 game series instead of a 3 or 4 game series. Maybe you're down there for an entire week playing games. And then when the team from Rio, which is maybe when a Venezuelan comes into the league, you go, hey, it's your option. We can find a way to put you on the Brazilian team or whatever. What I'm saying here is I think we're a long way off from international teams in baseball, even if baseball is growing its audience internationally by sending more and more games abroad. We're playing games in London. We're playing games in Paris. We're opening the season with games in the Tokyo Dome in Japan. And so I think baseball is doing the best it can to increase its international presence. And why wouldn't you? You have players from all over the world on your Major League Baseball rosters. But I don't think an international squad is anywhere close to happening. So instead, we're going to send the first 2 games of the season that matter to the other side of the planet a week and a half before everybody else plays. It's a whole weird setup, man. Like there's like 7 different angles to that conversation, and they're all weird. I do not think baseball is anywhere close to creating an international team or an international league. I do think baseball is closer than ever to sending more teams and more games abroad. I think they'll get to a point where all 30 teams are playing an international series at some point during the regular season. We'll find out. All right, we got to talk some baseball. The Braves made some moves over the weekend. We're going to talk about that as opening day is 2 days away. We'll get some more college basketball in here with our Sweet 16. Did Derek Queen travel on his game winner from Maryland over Colorado State? That was a huge debate yesterday, and I want to weigh in on it. So all that and more coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Gentle. If we're just, that's not gentle. That's not gentle. So, Brian, your answer is we did not crown a champion yet. We just got it down to our final 4, which is Dungeons and Dragons versus Trains on one side and X-Men versus Legos on the other. So we will crown our champion this Saturday. We'll get it down to 2 in the first hour and then crown the champion in the second hour. Very sad to see Stick bow out, but it was, had a good run. So I'm very sad that I will not hear the Stick song again, but
The Stick song?
Odie found this annoying Stick song. It's just stick, 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 stick. It was great, and Matthew and Cameron hated it. I thought it was amazing.
insurance all seems the same. Until it's time to use it. With USAA, it's easy to file claims, schedule repairs, and access roads.
I also hate it. Yeah, I know. We should stop it. I hate it a lot.
Why do you hate it? Is it because of repetitiveness?
Because it's annoying.
Also, it's got chickens.
It makes it worse.
So we have Trains versus D&D in the Final Four.
Oh.
And we have X-Men versus Legos in the Final Four. Because D&D knocked out Stick.
Morning, Brian. Michael, Kane, Miss April.
You said Michael Caine.
Michael Caine. Did Derek Queen, who knocked down the game winner for the Mighty Turtles of Maryland, travel on that buzzer beating to the left, fall away, jumper, banked high off the glass, and tickling the strings on the way down? Did he travel? I've watched this clip many times, and my gut instinct is, yes, he traveled. He takes 3 steps. And I didn't really go off on it yesterday for 2 reasons. Number one is that's kind of what we expect out of basketball now. And I do have a big problem with it. And I'm going to get to that here in just a minute from right now. Number 2, because the longer that not calling travels like that, the more that the next generation of kids is going to learn that's how you play basketball. So I'm not going to bust up Derek Queen for doing what has been a part of basketball for a lot of time now. Like, I keep having to remind myself, Derek Queen is a freshman. That kid was born in 2005. I was already in college, into college, like established in college. So Derek Queen has kind of only known that game. But I do think it is important that we talk about whether or not we should start working on changing the game back. So I got kind of in a tizzy about that being what I thought was a travel and it not being called. And then I came across a clip from Gene Steratore, who was on CBS Sports. And they asked Gino, was it a travel? And he said no. And here was his explanation as to why.
Great play. It's a great ending, right? By rule, the dribble doesn't end until there's firm possession with one hand locked, or more times than not with 2 hands. So we've got to look to see when the dribble ends. Derek Queen makes the turn around the loop. At that point, when he brings it back up, we don't know if that's fully possessed. If he bobbles that at that point, he could continue to bobble that basketball all the way to the hoop without a travel. So you've got to wait until you can define firm possession. Now the dribble has ended. As I said, most times than not, it's when both hands come together. You can see when Derek Queen has both hands together, 1 foot hits, next foot, great shot, great ending. To me, it just really doesn't jump off the screen as anything.
Okay. So it's very interesting. Steratore says, letter of the law, it's not a travel. Because the first step of your 2 steps is not established until you have full possession of the basketball. And the argument he's making is as Queen goes left and he dribbles the last time and he brings the ball back to his body to collect it in the left hand before he takes his 2 steps and fades off to the left for the high arcing bank shot, that you can't say that he has established possession of the basketball until he's established possession of the basketball. Now, if you watch it, when the ball's coming back up and it gets back up to his left hand and he goes to collect it to his left side, the ball kind of rattles a little bit between his hand and his body. It kind of bobbles a little bit. And then as he finally establishes the contact, that's when he takes step 1 with the left foot, step 2 with the right foot, jumps off the right foot, bank shot. And so Steratore is saying, letter of the law, he didn't travel because he didn't have possession. Now, I don't know, because the way that I was taught the rule growing up, and I will acknowledge that just because I was taught the rule a certain way doesn't mean that that's how it is you get 2 steps when your dribble's over, right? After your last dribble, you get 2 steps. Because my question here is, all right, so that if I get very talented and I could figure out a way to maybe dribble the ball off of my hip, right? Like bounce it back and forth between my hip and my hand. And I could do so in a way that looks like I'm bobbling, but it's really under control. Little sleight of hand, little magic. I could sleight of hand, make it look like the ball is bobbling between my hip and my body. Could I take 4 steps? Could I take 5 steps and just control it for the last 2, bam, bam, shot? I kind of have an issue with that. But even more than establishing what a travel is, and this conversation to me is wild. I've been watching, playing, participating in, calling, commenting on basketball since I was quite literally a child. And a travel's just always been a travel, except for now it's kind of not anymore, I guess. I don't know. But there is an entirely new conversation that is taking place right now in the social media landscape. I'm going to play you a couple of clips about this, and then I want to have the conversation. I want to start with the Rich Eisen show, which you can hear right here on the Fan Upstate from noon to 3 every single day. Rich and the boys were having a discussion and debate about whether or not Derek Queen traveled.
I thought that kid Queen in Maryland traveled. Now you're telling, because nobody calls traveling. It's just there's a step because you're gathering. You're gathering and stepping, and then you get 2 steps after. What if you've gathered and then you take your step? And then you take 2 more steps. If I'm Colorado State, I'm counting 3 steps.
But that's not what he did. I thought that was a
He
clean
traveled.
Point. No, he didn't travel.
He did. I still would watch that literally 15 times,
again.
and he caught it step. Shot. It was 3 steps for sure.
He had it on his left hip with his left hand. Kid's incredibly talented. I know Maryland fans are just like, can we just finally get a break here?
I'm fine with this play.
He took 3 steps.
Dude, nobody calls traveling anymore. Quite honestly.
No.
Anywhere. Is it because I'm getting older? Is that what it is?
No, look, I think our viewpoints do change a little, but look, he took 3 steps. He did.
Like, good move, good play. Stop him.
Total
If
travel.
don't get called.
Defend him.
Absolute
Get a hand
travel.
up. Get a hand up.
Okay. So you heard a couple of different viewpoints there.
This starts from the top down, though. They haven't called it in the NBA in forever. So if you're getting away with it there, then it's only going to filter down.
I don't disagree. I jumped to that conclusion a minute ago. I completely agree. This is why I don't fault Derek Queen. Derek Queen is 18 years old. Derek Queen was born in 2005, which means he probably came online as a basketball player around what? Let's say let's give a very aggressive answer, and let's say he came online at like 9 years old. That means Derek Queen probably started seriously watching and taking in basketball in like 2014.
Well, and
it was way gone at that point.
It definitely was a travel. He definitely took 3 steps. I go back in his career if anyone wants to do that and watch him play other games and see if he does this consistently. And gets away with it.
What I think to me, though, is bigger than was it or was it not a travel is twofold. Number one, Rich Eisen is not surrounded by idiots. Rich Eisen knows ball the guys around Rich Eisen know ball, and there's 3 guys talking with 3 different viewpoints. Rich says, it's a travel. Other guy says, yeah, it's a travel, but like, stop him. And a third guy goes, it's not a travel. It's a gather. He's gathering the ball on step 1. He has established step 2 and 3. The problem that I think is overwhelming the conversation.
They also
right now.
mentioned a big part of that conversation is this is just because you're old and your perception is how it used to be, and it's not that way anymore.
I completely disagree with that. I don't think that it has. I will acknowledge, and I think I regularly do, when I'm having my get off my lawn moments, of which they are increasing in frequency. This isn't one of them.
By the way, I agree with you. This has nothing to do with perception. The rule's a rule. It took 3 steps. It's travel. I mean, there should be no way to interpret it differently, but they are, and they did.
Sterator says the gather step is to establish control. It's the 2 steps after that matter. And on this play, when he brings the ball up the last time and the ball comes into the left hand, obviously no longer in a dribbling position, the ball is rattling between hand and hip before he collects it. That's the gather. At that point, the first of the 3 steps is already established. The next step is the first of 2. He steps left foot, right foot, jumps off the right foot, makes the shot. But that's part of the conversation, is the fact that I think we need a complete and total reset and reevaluation as a country into traveling. I think we need to go get like 3 refs. I think we need to go get like the 80-year-old guy who still calls church rec league games. You know him. You know exactly the old guy I'm talking about. We need to get a middle-aged ref that's doing like high-level NBA games, and we need to get like a young, cool, hip guy that's like just getting his start in the college ranks, the low-level college ranks. And we need to set these 3 guys down, and we need them to like dictate this is how we're going to call it now, because we got gathers, and we got Euro steps, and we've got continuations, and we've got all these different exceptions or modifications to the travel rule, and I think you're starting to see it show up progressively in younger generations of basketball fans, and it's confusing everybody. But then there's one more conversation. This is a clip from the Grind City Media podcast.
This might be controversial. I do not care that Derek Queen, letter of the law, traveled, and I do think that he traveled. But I think unless you are a diehard Colorado State fan, I think it's super weird that you're trying to Zapruder film a buzzer beater and talk it down. Like, if you're a Colorado State fan, go crazy. Your team got robbed. This is why we don't have any Cinderellas left in the dance. But if you're just a fan of hoops, like, this is why we march. I don't understand doing that in that moment, because we do it for that shot. Like, we do it for Derek Queen, a freshman, telling his huddle to get him the MFing ball and then fading left with a righty finish. If we call the travel, if we blow the whistle, we don't get the walk-off of him saying, I'm from Maryland. We don't get him at the post-game press conference talking about his coach and why they listened to him, and him saying, like, he did pay us the money, so we got to listen to him. If you would rather be celebrating a game ending on a whistle, I don't understand you. Unless you are a Colorado State fan. Like, that's the only way it makes sense to me.
So the take from that young lady on the Grind City Media podcast was effectively, who cares if the rules were broken? I was entertained. Who cares if he she literally says in that podcast, number one, he definitely traveled. And she says, Colorado State got robbed. Those are her words, not mine. She said, Colorado State got robbed. Now, I don't know about you, but my parents brought me up to tell me that robbery is wrong. Robbery is bad. Don't rob people. Yet, here's a young lady hosting a pod. And by the way, congrats to Grind City Media, because they have, in just a couple of months, like, skyrocketed up in terms of the basketball podcast world. I respect it. But here's a young lady hosting this event, this pod, and she says, I don't care if a team that had aspirations of a Sweet 16 berth, and maybe not an awful matchup, well, pretty awful matchup, Florida's real good, but an opportunity to go to the Elite Eight. That'd be a hallmark. That'd be a banner-hanging moment for the Colorado State Rams. Oh, and by the way, in a year where they're losing their head coach. He's already signed a contract to go coach basketball somewhere else. Huge year for them. And she's saying, I don't really care if they got robbed because I was entertained. Okay, so then my next question is, traveling down the old slippery slope, where does that rule pick up? Where does that rule pick up where entertainment matters more than calling the game by the rules of the game? If Derek Queen got the ball, drives left, and as he's picking up his dribble, he just punches the bleep out of his defender. I mean, just whang! Superman overhand right. Whoop out! Puts that man down, and then he hits that jump shot at the buzzer.
I tell you what, I would be entertained if that happened. We'd be entertained in that we'd come in here the next day and we'd play it on the stream and be like, holy bleep, did I just see that for real? But I think, and I could be wrong here, I think that the take from that young lady would be different, right? She'd be like, oh, you can't just wail a defender in the face. Well, pow, can't give him an elbow. Can't give him a forearm shiver to the dome. So where's our line here? I don't care if he travels because it gave me my, by the way, the only buzzer beater in the tournament so far. We're 2 rounds in. We've had one buzzer beater. No overtime games. One buzzer beater. It does feel like an anticlimactic March, and that's okay with me because it's been great basketball. You don't count the first
No,
four?
nobody cares about the first four.
That's still technically the tournament. That was a buzzer beater.
Who beat Texas? Who beat Texas? They're in the tournament. Who beat Texas? You don't know because you don't care.
What are you talking about, Alabama State, the one that won that game?
Nope. Who beat Texas in the play-in tournament to earn a spot in the bracket? You don't know because nobody cares. It was Xavier.
I wasn't talking about that game. It was the other game that was really good.
Sure. Who'd they beat?
Who cares? They won.
Mm-hmm. Who'd they play in the tournament? Exactly.
I'm just pointing out that there was another buzzer beater technically in the tournament.
There was
That's
a buzzer
all.
beater in
the play. Which is still the tournament.
When people start caring, which is the field of 64, we've had no overtimes, no buzzer beaters, with the exception of Maryland over Colorado State, and a rule got broken. A kid traveled in order to establish it. The problem I have isn't the fact that he traveled, because, again, this kid's probably been watching basketball as long as they, as Rich Eisen said, have him in calling travels, right? I'm not on him. I am on people who are going, I don't care if we don't officiate the game the right way, if we don't enforce the rules of the game, so long as I get my jollies. Go watch a Disney movie. Go watch Air Bud.
That's a poor choice going from that. Just no.
Go watch Air Bud. Go watch a sports movie where the rules don't matter, the drama does. But if I'm a Colorado State fan and my team had that game in the bag, a dub, ready to move on, Sweet 16, Florida Gators, here we come, and then we get knocked out by a blatant travel, and the response from America is, sucks to be you, Rams, but I had fun. What's the point of watching basketball? What's the point? You've just told me you'd rather have drama than a winner. I don't know. I got a problem with it. Speaking of winners, here's Lonzo's Sports Flash. So that was a quick segue.
Guaranteed no jollies in this report.
No jollies.
Miami quarterback Cam Ward held his pro day in Coral Gables yesterday and said afterwards he believes he has solidified himself as the top draft pick, but that he's happy with whatever team he ends up with. The Titans have the first pick in the draft, but still have quarterback Will Levis on the roster, who they drafted in the second round of the 2023 draft. USC Trojans women's basketball team will be without their star player for the rest of the tournament as forward Juju Watkins exited the Trojans' second round game against Mississippi State with what was later diagnosed as a torn ACL. Watkins had to be carried off the court during the 96-59 win over the Bulldogs. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel ride shotgun on your drive home and get you up to date on all the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a whole lot of fun. And it's all Wire to Wire. I'm just pointing out that they're the tournament.
No buzzer beaters, with the exception of Maryland over Colorado State, and a rule got broken. A kid traveled in order to establish it. The problem I have isn't the fact that he traveled, because again, this kid's problem, as Rich Eisen said, haven't been calling travels, right? I'm not on him. I am on people who are going, I don't care if we don't officiate the game the right way, if we don't enforce the sports movie where the rules don't matter, the drama does. But if I'm on Sweet 16, Florida Gators, here we come, and then we get knocked out by a blatant travel. Spawns from America, you Rams, but I had fun. What's the point of watching basketball? Rather have drama than a...
I got it.
Yeah, you did. You got it on the air. You're right, Kane. Airbud couldn't dribble. But did he get his jollies? I don't know.
I'm your huckleberry.
Here we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show goes now. Great to have you, America. What up? Upstate South Carolina. Where am I? I'm struggling today.
It's going to be all right. Would you like me to come over and give you a pat on the back?
No, I think I'm going to make it.
We're good.
I think I'm going to make it. I think we're going to get through this okay, but we're going to find out. I can't I get the weird thing where one ear is off pressure, you know what I mean?
Yes.
You got I feel like a bubble's in your ear.
It's that time of year because sinuses, and maybe you slept on that side and it drained more on that side. Yes.
Yeah, I'm doing that weird thing where I look like a fish trying to equalize, and I can't.
Is that what a fish trying to equalize looks like? I don't know.
No, I look like a fish.
Okay.
As I am trying to equalize. Oh, it sucks. It sucks. You know what doesn't suck? This show, the Rob Brown Show on the Fan
Are
Upstate.
you sure? Are you absolutely sure?
I mean, 3 South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year award trophies say.
Oh yeah, there's that.
Right.
There's that.
I mean, I may just be, I may be biased towards us, but I feel like we're doing okay. Again, maybe it's just me. I don't know, but I feel like we're doing okay. Hey, what do you say we talk about some stuff? What do you say we get to some stuff here on the show? By the way, you guys had some takes on this traveling conversation from the last segment. So I'm going to circle back around to those here in just a minute from right now. But it is 7:02 in the morning. You know what that means? That means it's time for us to tell you about the top 3 stories happening in sports. About the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office. It's time for us to do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying, "What kind of place is this?" Bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It's the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports with your coworkers this morning. When you do, this is what you will be talking about. Let's get to item number 1. Women's college basketball underway last night, the conclusion of round number 2 of the women's tournament, and there's a couple of news stories out of this one. First and foremost, one of the biggest threats to win the women's college basketball national championship coming into the tournament were the Southern California Trojans. They have gone from 9-1 odds yesterday to 22-1 odds today. Why? Because their star forward, Juju Watkins, is done for the year. Suffered a torn ACL in her right knee during the second round victory over Mississippi State last night. That, according to ESPN, a team spokesperson said last night that Juju Watkins will undergo season-ending surgery before beginning rehab. Just 5 minutes into USC's 96-59 win that sent the Trojans on to the Sweet 16 for the second straight season. Watkins drove to the basket on a fast break between 2 defenders, was fouled. Her right knee buckled as she planted her leg, causing her to collapse to the floor. Immediately grabbed her knee, stayed down on the court for over a minute before trainers were able to get out there, pick her up, and help her off the floor. The team announced at halftime that Watkins was being evaluated by medical staff and would not return. They announced after the game that her ACL was torn, and Juju Watkins, 1,709 points in her first 2 seasons, the second most by any player in Division I history through 2 seasons. Only Kelsey Mitchell at Ohio State with 1,762 scored more in a 2-year span to begin her career. In fact, Juju Watkins outscored Caitlin Clark and Cheryl Swoops in their first 2 years at Division I basketball. She is out for the remainder of this tournament. The other part of this story, South Carolina now knows who their Friday opponent in the Sweet 16 will be. They will face the Turtles, Maryland, with a 111-108 double overtime victory over the Alabama Crimson Tide last night. 28 points from Cheyenne Sellers. Sarah Tibiasu, 26 points, 24 out of Kayleen Smeekle. This team was efficient, over 45% from the floor, 42.3% from the arc, and maybe most importantly, and most problematic for the Gamecocks, how about 46 rebounds, including 23 on the offensive side, 23 on the defensive side for the Maryland Turtles. The Terrapins wiping the glass last night. It kept them alive, and it earned them a victory. 5 p.m. on Friday, the Turtles and the Gamecocks down in Birmingham, Alabama in the women's tournament Sweet 16. Let's get to item number 2. Soccer story, but it's not American. Stick with me. I'm coming to American soccer later on in the show because they were so bad in the final 2 games of the CONCACAF Nations League. They have gotten me and Alexi Lawless agreeing with each other. That doesn't happen often, people. former FIFA President Sepp Blatter and France great Michael Platini, both cleared of corruption charges by a Swiss court yesterday, 2.5 years after they were first acquitted of the same offenses. The pair, once amongst the most powerful figures in global footy, were cleared of fraud at the Extraordinary Appeals Chamber of the Swiss Criminal Court in the town of Muttens, near Basel, Switzerland.
All that sounds definitely legitimate, not made up at all. There's no way.
It definitely doesn't feel like something you hear about in like a really bad James Bond movie. Not just the Appeals Chamber of the Swiss Criminal Court, the Extraordinary Appeals Chamber of the Swiss Criminal Court.
Does that mean there are levels to their Swiss
is there
appeals
like
court?
is there like a regular and then there's like a above average appeals chamber?
Welcome
and
to
then
the
there's
mediocre appeals court.
The pretty good appeals chamber. And then you have one group of judges, I assume they wear like big powder wigs and robes with like leopard fur trim on it, and they are the Extraordinary Appeals Chamber. Anyway, the hearing came about after Swiss federal prosecutors appealed their 2022 acquittal at a lower court. I assume that's the mediocre.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they didn't have to go all the way down to the low. They just went down to the mediocre for sure.
Shockingly, both men denied the charges against them. The case related to a 2 million Swiss franc payment that Blatter authorized for Michael Platini, a former captain and manager of the French national team back in 2011. The payment was a consultancy fee paid to Platini for work carried out between 1998 and 2002 when the Frenchman said he had been partly deferred because FIFA lacked the funds to pay him in full immediately at the time. The scandal emerged in 2015 when Platini was president of European football's ruling body UEFA and ended his hopes of succeeding Blatter, who was forced out of FIFA over this same affair.
By the way, 2 million Swiss francs equals 2,267,278
Director of Research.
American dollars.
Yes, it's a lot of money.
Everybody wanted to know. So, I mean, sometimes you hear an astronomical number, and then when it's compared to American dollars, it ends up being like 50 cents. So, but in this case, it is a lot of money.
Yeah. A lot of money. Well over $2.26 million, or over $2.26 million that was owed to Platini, according to Sepp Blatter and FIFA. The Swiss were like, yeah, we don't buy that at all. And apparently, it turns out that if it was bad, they didn't have enough to prove it. Just proving further, ladies and gentlemen, that if you would like to launder a bunch of money and get paid a lot to be corrupt, just join FIFA. You can get away with damn near anything. Item number 3.
You sounded like you wasn't sure. So
I am sure.
Okay. All right.
However, this seemed to, I don't know if it like slipped under the radar. I don't know if this is like, it's just not being taken seriously. I don't know. Last night, I was watching some college basketball coverage, as we obviously have both the men's and women's national championship tournaments taking place right now. And in preparation for talking today to make some Sweet 16 picks with those games getting set to be played on Thursday and Friday, I was watching some of the studio shows because, no basketball, studio shows all we got. I'm watching some of the studio shows last night. And on CBS Sports, John Rothstein, who is kind of one of the leading voices in the college basketball landscape. He is actually one of my go-to guys when it comes to college basketball. Rothstein was on CBS Sports. And he said something that I went, what now? I went, what now? I know what I did. I broke my computer because I screwed up during the break.
Yeah, you're also doing something that someone else used to do.
He said,
you shouldn't do that.
And of course, now I got to reset my whole thing. Let me go with this. I'm going to play you this audio. And I'm going to play you this audio because I think this audio is important. But John Rothstein, I'm not going to play with it anymore.
Yeah, stop it.
Yeah, I know. It's on me. What do you want? John Rothstein said yesterday that there is a conversation happening right now in the college ranks. And of course, now I can't even get it to freaking open up. We're just having a day here, people. John Rothstein said that there are conversations happening right now in the NCAA to potentially change the baseline of eligibility for athletes. Rothstein said...
Is this for grades?
I'm still stalling over here, and it's not working.
So you said eligibility. You mean as far as
I mean in
grades?
terms of years eligible to be played.
Oh.
Rothstein said yesterday that the NCAA is considering allowing a 5th year of eligibility as the new baseline for college athletics.
Well, it worked during COVID. They were able to get some people 1 or 2 years, right?
They gave everybody that was in athletics during the COVID year 1 extra additional year of eligibility, moved it to 5. If you add that to a red shirt, it went to 6. If you add it to a medical red shirt, it went to 7. But remember, there's one more thing in play here. And I don't know that this is or is not part of it. But the NCAA has also recently decided to make the change that time played at the JUCO level does not count towards your eligibility. So now, theoretically, if a player played 2 years at JUCO, then went to a big school, took his red shirt. Remember, in football, you can play 4 games now on a red shirt. Took his red shirt. Then, let's say, took a medical red shirt. Okay? There's 5 years, with his next year, 6. You could have college basketball, football, baseball players, whatever, theoretically playing 7 years of college athletics.
Do you know how much eligibility you have left? That's a lot of time.
I mean, if they make this change, apparently a freaking lot, dude. Like, apparently a lot. That's wild to me.
I only played 1 year and got hurt, so that would be a medical thing. And I didn't get to play. I was technically being redshirt. Oh, yeah.
Maybe Lonzo can get back in the game. Maybe there's a little bit left there for the great one.
Go play some JUCO a little bit, get back into some shape, and then head up to the big boys. Give me some NIL money.
I'm trying to tell you. I'm sure there will be folks waiting to throw money at the great one.
I could also work at the college radio station. I know I won't get paid anything, but I could have some fun.
So same as here. That's a joke. That's a joke. We're very happy with our jobs and paychecks. I was making a joke.
You talked about our accolades earlier. Yeah, I really enjoy. I like winning awards.
I do too. I'm a big fan. We should do it again this year.
We should.
We really should. So, Texas said that's actually 9 years with red shirt. So we go JUCO, medical red shirt, regular red shirt, 5. Yes, you are correct. That is 9. I'm bad at math. That's why all my jobs are words jobs. 9 years of college athletics. You could have...
You could be 27?
27-year-olds. And if a kid does not go play college ball, but he doesn't do anything else, and he goes, let's say he doesn't join a college team until he's 20, 21, you could have legitimately and genuinely 30-year-olds playing college basketball, college football.
So the whole thing, our athletes are going pro in something else. They're just going pro and being there and making enough money and NIL that they don't have to work when they're done with college.
Well, according to an NCAA
here's
official,
Rothstein.
Conversations have been ongoing that the NCAA would grant 5 years of eligibility moving forward, not 4 for players in all sports. This is something that is going to continue to be discussed in the early part of 2025. What this would mean, Brent, obviously, in terms of logistics, means 5 years would include a redshirt year. If there was an injury, there's a lot of people, obviously, at the NCAA who are cognizant of what's happened academically with so many players transferring right now. This would help more players get degrees. There's a lot of gray areas still, but the bottom line is this: a potential seismic change to the college sports landscape, again, is potentially coming to the forefront.
So he does say in that clip...
He said degrees. Yeah, that's what they're there for.
He does say in that clip that, hey, we ain't here to play school. That was one of your guys, Lonzo. We ain't here to play school.
He was right, though. He wasn't.
He did say in there that, and I here's the thing. I don't know what Rothstein meant, and I will be following up this today. Because, again, this, isn't being talked about. But he said that would include a red. So does that mean 5 years? And if you redshirt, that is one of the 5 years? So you can still redshirt, but you'll only have 4 years? Does that mean redshirt plus 4 years? Does that mean redshirt and then 5 years? I don't know. What I do know is... apparently, this conversation's happening, according to John Rothstein. And I got to do some digging. But This isn't a story, in my opinion. This isn't a story that a guy who has made it to where John Rothstein is, like studio shows on major networks. This isn't a story you make up. This isn't a story you lie about. This isn't a story you get clout with. This is a story you report if and only if you can verify that it's happening, that you have knowledge that it is happening. Not a guess, not speculation. So for them to be having this for John Rothstein to have this conversation, I find that really interesting. We'll talk more about this later on the show because this would be, as he described it, a seismic shift. We'll talk more about it when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
We'll be right back.
So a couple of things about this story we were talking about to wrap up the water cooler cheat sheet. The first is that this story, because somebody texted and said, "You're way late, Rob, this story was back in January." And the answer is yes and no. Because Rothstein said the same thing back in January. But when he said the same thing, there was a big pushback. There were other, also respectable outlets that were saying that conversation is not taking place right now. And now apparently that conversation is being renewed, and so far, I have not seen any pushbacks. Now, Rothstein's initial report back in January was that the NCAA would be considering this change in early 2025. Well, we are now well into early 2025. In fact, I would say we are right up on the border of not early 2025 any longer. Somehow, as we celebrated New Year's Eve 3 nights ago, it's almost April. Like, damn.
Like next week. Yeah.
Yeah, like damn. So, I mean, sorry, wait. Where is it? Dadgummit. No, I can't. Of course I can't find it when I need it. Oh, I'll find it later. Anyway, like, damn. I got that clip somewhere.
That wasn't bad. I mean, you know.
There it is. There it is. Get him, Ron. So we're now into early 2025, and Rothstein has now renewed the story that the NCAA is going to be discussing a 5th year of eligibility. Per reports, there is no real timetable regarding the change, but this apparently would remove the concept of a red shirt. So basically, everybody gets 5 years, but there are no more red shirts. Honestly, like, okay, I'm good with it, right? I'm good with it. The concept of a red shirt, especially as red shirts have been modified over the past couple of years, and now you can play in, what is it, a quarter of the games or whatever it is, 4 games in college football, and yet still have a red shirt. Like, what's I don't know, man. What's the point? What's the point? Let's just do 5 years. So that would remove one of those years. Now we're down to 8. What I don't know is if this would still remove a medical red shirt, right? So let's say it's year number 2 and you play one game, you're injured in game 1 or you're injured in game 2 and you're done for the season. Could you still get a medical red shirt for that? Does that bump it from 8 years back up to 9? Does it stay at 8? Does it come down more? I really don't know. And this is kind of one of those stories that, like, I almost want to hesitate to comment on it until I know what's coming out of this. I almost kind of want to hesitate. Again, it came up back in January, but there was pushback. There were big outlets saying, no, this conversation isn't happening right now. Now it seems that, at least so far, there's very little pushback on it. So I'm on one hand, I absolutely want to give you a bunch of commentary. On the other hand, I don't really know what to say about it. I'm on one hand, like, I'm not a huge fan of giving everybody 5 years of eligibility. But on the flip side, I kind of like the concept of saying, okay, when you enroll in college, you have 5 years. That's it. You have 5 years. We cut out the shenanigans with guys in red shirts playing 6 years or 7 years. We shut out coaches utilizing guys as effective strategic superstars. They can plug a guy in. He can play in like the 4 biggest games of the year, but still get his red shirt. You have other situations where you haven't played a guy all year, but then all of a sudden you get into the playoffs. Maybe you have a shock run to the playoffs and your back's against the wall, so you burn a kid's red shirt, But he didn't play in 8 of your 12 regular season games, so he could redshirt. But then you get into the last game, and it's like, hey, kid, I know that you didn't get to play in every game. I know that you weren't a consistent roster member, but we need you now. So, like, we're going to go ahead and count this year against your eligibility, even though you did not get to participate the whole time because we planned on you being a redshirt. Like, get rid of that. Let's just have it where when you get into the game, you have 5 years. Clock starts, right? And, you know, I know it's going to suck that eventually we're going to have a kid in his 5th year of eligibility, and in week 1 he's going to blow out a knee. In week 1, torn ACL. He's done for the year, shut down for the season. And you got to go, dude, that sucks, but, like, that was your 5th year, right? Like, your eligibility's over. But I think if you do anything else, you have programs that, start to massage the system a little bit. You have programs that kind of start to work the system for their roster for their team's benefit.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah, right? Right? I don't know, man. I did see a proposal from somebody on social media last night that said, new rule, anyone under 23 is eligible. Which I got to tell you, Lonzo, I read that last night. Anyone under the age of 23, when their season starts, is eligible to play. I don't know, like, what the dates line up for different sports, right? Like, that might put football at a disadvantage to basketball. Basketball starts later. That means they got, a longer window of kids that graduated in a certain year. If you graduated in that year and you graduated at 17 because you were turning 18 the day after graduation or whatever. Maybe that changes the game or whatever. I don't think it can be that simple. I do think it could be as simple as the day you enroll in your first school, the day you enroll in school number 1, you're on a 5-year clock. You have 5 years to get as much in as you can. I don't care if you transfer to a different school all 5 years. I don't care if you earn $10 or $10 million of NIL money. That's all irrelevant to me. When you sign that scholarship, you have 5 seasons. It's going to suck if you blow out your ACL in year 5, but you have 5 years. That's what that 5 years is for. It is to give you 4 years of college ball plus 1 with a catastrophic injury or an illness or whatever that prevents you from playing for a season, which I honestly, I think it's fair because, again, we have seen guys say, maybe not in this one, that is at least not that have stood out and made a game impact, but we have seen guys playing college ball that are 28 years old, 29 years old. It's like that, damn, dog, you're old for an NBA guy. You're old for an NFL player. If you were in the NFL, we'd be putting the clock on your career right now, but you're out here playing college ball. I think 5 years from the day that you sign your Scully or 5 seasons of your sport is fair, right? If you early enroll in spring, right? You enroll in whatever it is, February, January. It's been a long time since I went to college. If you early enroll and you're a football player, when week 1 rolls around, the clock starts for you. You have 5 seasons. No matter what happens. Transfer anywhere you want to go. Get the NIL money you want to get. Play for whatever schools and coaches you want to play for in whatever parts of the country you want to play for. Do whatever you want to do. You have 5 football seasons. This kind of feels like one of those things that over the years we have started to get unnecessarily complicated, right? With red shirt, but you can do this and you can play this many games, but you can't do that because that's going to burn them out. Like, I feel like we're being overly and unnecessarily complicated when it doesn't have to be. You have 5 seasons of your sport. Now there are some challenges. In fact, I'm reading a comment right now from a guy who covers college hockey. He said, college hockey, the traditional path is to play juniors right out of high school for a few years. Then they really only go to college once they're 21 to 23 years old. Like, I don't know. We got a good hockey program. I kind of don't want to tinker with it too much. But on the flip side, like, are we putting development of international and professional hockey players above just college hockey. And I know, like, college hockey fans aren't going to love it because, man, if you've ever hung out with college hockey fans, they've got their own little bubble, their own little universe that they live in, aside from everybody else. Like, they live in their own little world where they've got their own little rules and traditions over there. Sorry? Like, anytime you enact a rule, there's going to be a group of people that it is going to unfairly impact more than others. But I think, I could be wrong, and I'm open to conversation if anybody has thoughts deeper than mine about this. I heard this clip this morning. I was like, man, I feel like I've heard that from Rothstein before. And then I went and looked, and I'm like, okay, I did back in January, but there was a lot of pushback. And there were people from the NCAA saying, no, we're actually not having that conversation. So it kind of went by the wayside. He brought it up again, I think yesterday afternoon, and there's been no pushback so far. It's only been a day. Maybe the NCAA puts out a statement today. I don't know. But the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, there's a whole lot of complexity right now. There's a whole lot of complexity to this conversation right now. And I really do think it's gotten unnecessarily overcomplicated. I think it could be scaled down to when you enroll in a school, you have 5 seasons. You have 5 seasons to get it done, whatever you want to get done in college ball. Transfers, NIL, national championships, whatever. You have 5 years. After 5 seasons, you're done. Now, that doesn't necessarily fix anything because, again, what about guys who don't go to college? What about guys who are walk-ons and they get a scholarship? Does that extend? I don't know. I don't think so. I think once you enroll into college, you have 5 years. I think that's the easiest way to do it. I think going any further than that, you probably get to a point where you're overcomplicating things unnecessarily. But we'll see. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back here in just a minute. Got a bunch, so we got to get into some NBA. A lot of NBA news right now. Jason Tatum left a game last night with a busted-up wheel. Still waiting to find out what happened with Steph Curry. Anthony Davis made his return for the Mavs last night. We got a lot going on in the NBA. We'll talk about that. Get some Major League Baseball talk as we are now 2 days from opening day. The Rob Brown Show rolls on after this. It's The Fan Upstate. Cam Rising and his injury report. Let's talk a little opening day baseball. The Atlanta Braves. Kind of an interesting offseason for Atlanta in that a team saw their NL East streak come to an end. First time since 2017 that they did not win the NL East, but they still did make the playoffs, despite the fact that this was the most injured team in Major League Baseball last year. And so I've told a bunch of Braves fans, on one hand, I'm disappointed I didn't really see the Braves, if you'll pardon the expression, swing for the fences. I would have liked to have seen them in that big move pool. And now I'm not saying that they needed to be fighting the Mets for Juan Soto or something like that. I am saying there were some big names out there. You lost Max Fried to the Yankees. You lost Chris Sale to the Baltimore Orioles. I really thought that there was a possibility the Braves could go in for a replacement. Specifically, pitching. Specifically, go get another starter. They really didn't do that. On the flip side, I am trying to remain optimistic here. And I'm trying to remain optimistic here because the rotation that the Braves have put together sorry, I said Chris Sale. I meant Charlie Morton. My bad. The rotation this team has put together isn't awful. Chris Sale last year had his healthiest season in 6 years, 168 innings pitched, worked at 3.18 ERA. He was very good. Reynaldo Lopez is a guy I'm interested in. A lot of questions last year whether or not Lopez would stay in the rotation after spending a few years in the bullpen. 26 games, 25 of them starts a 1.99 ERA. But did have some forearm and shoulder injuries after the All-Star break. Questions about those coming into the year. Spencer Schwellenbach. Revelation is actually one of the reasons the Braves made the playoffs last year was because they didn't know who that guy was going to be. Spencer Schwellenbach steps in quarter of the way through the season. Pretty consistent dude last year. 173 innings pitched, 3.59 ERA, arrived from AA ball without a full season as a starter at any level, had 21 starts, went 4-1 with a 2.28 ERA against divisional opponents. And it was a good division last year. Grant Holmes had a phenomenal year last year. Spent a decade in the minors, got called up by the Braves to fill a need, in the rotation, and then moved into the pen, did relatively well. And A.J. Smith-Shawver. Obviously, Spencer Strider, probably going to miss some time early. When he does get called, I suspect he will go back probably into the 3-hole in the rotation on limited innings early while he recovers from Tommy John. They'll work him into that as they move forward. But it's really the lineup as the Braves figure out their pitching, because I will also say it's Alex Anthopoulos. I suspect the Atlanta Braves will be active at the trade deadline this year. They weren't really last year. It was kind of the first time in 2 or 3 years that the Braves didn't really try to make a splash at the deadline. I suspect they'll get back to that this year. In fact, my prognostication was, and has been, that the reason the Braves did not go heavy during the offseason was because they kind of wanted to build up the assets so that when the deadline gets here, they can be players. They can look at teams that maybe had expectations coming into the year, did not live up to those, are selling pieces off. And because they did not put a gazillion dollars on the books in the offseason, like a lot of teams did, they'll have some assets stocked up, and they can go not just get guys, because again, when you get a guy in the offseason, you are taking a gamble that that guy is going to not just show up having the same form, but that they're going to show up having the same form coming out of the offseason. Whereas if you wait till the break, you can watch guys in the season. You can pull a guy over who, if you go get a starting pitcher, has been starting pitching all year long. And you can evaluate what the season has looked like for that individual thus far. So I expect the Braves will be deadline players, but you got to get there first. How do you get there? If you're Atlanta, you're relying on the lineup, right? Which is why they went and got Jurickson Profar out of San Diego. 31 years of age. And this guy is, to me, the biggest question mark for the Atlanta Braves this year. Jurickson Profar had a career year last year for the Dodgers. For the Padres. Jurickson Profar had a career year for the Padres last year, but he is 31. Jurickson Profar had a career year last year for the Padres in a career that included at one point being cut from the Colorado Rockies. There have been seasons I think I could have made the Colorado Rockies, and I stink. That's why I quit playing baseball after high school, because I couldn't go any further than that. 3-year, $42 million deal. That's your leadoff guy. Does that change when Ronnie comes back? I don't know. But for right now, it is. Austin Riley at third base played all but 4 games last year. One of the few spots that you did not deal with an injury last year was at third base. 36 home runs, 99 ribbies. Year before that, 21 through 23 played all but 10 games. Last year, 110 games, 19 home runs, 46 RBIs. I got my numbers backwards. That's my bad. Last year did deal with some injuries, but after the broken hand, this isn't a lingering injury deal. This isn't Austin Riley coming back off a torn ACL like Ronnie. This isn't him coming back from Tommy John's like Spencer Strider. He had a broken hand. It happens. That heals up. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. Matty Ice Baby, you know what Matt Olson is. Leader in home runs and RBIs. Last year, career worst slump through the first 99 games. Now, 16 homers, 54 RBIs, and 949 OPS in the final 63 games. Is he able to carry the second half of last year and not revert back to the first? Marcell Ozuna back in the DH spot. Last 2 seasons, kind of a career revival. 289, 79 home runs, 204 RBIs, a 916 OPS, a 148 OPS plus. The Big Bear is 34. He is in a career year this year. And whether it's with Atlanta or not, if he wants to stay in the show, he's going to have to keep those numbers up. Michael Harris II, hamstring strain last year, sidelined for 2 months. Ended up with a back strain, probably compensating for that hammy. Back in that slowed him down after that. Gold Glove defender when he's healthy. Can he stay healthy? Ozzie Albies, 5'7", one of the best hitting second basemen. Again, when he's healthy. Albies has played as many as 100 games just once in the past 3 seasons due to injuries. Speculation. The point that I'm making here when we talk about these Atlanta Braves for the 2025 season is this. If the lineup is healthy, it's as good as any 1 through 9 at the dish in the NL East. If the lineup is healthy, it's as good as, if not better, than any 1 through 9 in the field. Because even guys like Jared Kelenic, who had a, let's say, erratic season with the Braves last night, who will likely be platooning in right field until Acuna comes back, and then Ronnie, when Ronnie comes back off a torn ACL, you're even going speculation with these guys. The fear, if you're an Atlanta Braves fan, is that the injury bug strikes again. I would like to think last year was just a weird year, just an anomaly of a year. But I'm also looking at some of the guys that got hurt last year, and they are guys that historically have had injury issues. The Braves have put together one of the best 1 through 9 lineups in the National League. The Braves have put together a defensive lineup that I genuinely believe is as good as anybody's in the National League. The problem is they've put a lineup that is as good as anybody in the National League at the dish and as good, if not better, than anybody in the field, that is built almost exclusively, with very few exceptions, out of guys that have missed significant time the last 1 or 2 or 3 years. Or guys like Jurickson Profar that were really good but inconsistent. If the Braves get everything right, If these guys find a chemistry and stay healthy, the Braves are the second best team in the National League. I think, honestly, I think they're better than the Phillies. I think they're definitively better than the Mets. If I look up and down the National League, I genuinely think the Braves 1 through 9, when fully healthy, are as good as anybody else. I think they're the best team in the NL East. I think they're far and away the best team in the NL Central. And out in the West, I think the Dodgers are going to be good. The Diamondbacks are going to be good. The Padres are going to be good. I think the Braves are the second best team in the National League, and that's just because the Dodgers have built an all-time all-star roster that they literally owe over $1 billion to. The problem is, at almost every position, with the exception of first base, designated hitter, you're dealing with either sincere injury concerns or inconsistency throughout a career. If Jurickson Profar matches the year he had last year in San Diego, the Braves answered a huge question during the offseason. Who's going to be your stable outfielder until Acuna Jr. comes back? If Jurickson Profar's last year with the Padres was an anomaly, the Braves blew $42 million. When Ronnie comes back, 50-70 club. Does that ACL, does multiple lower body injuries, knee injuries, change him away from being the guy that won the National League Most Valuable Player 2 years ago? Or is he the same guy? If he's the same guy, the Braves and Jurickson Profar is good. The Braves just built maybe the best defensive outfield and maybe the most electrifying offensive outfield in Major League Baseball. But if one of those two guys doesn't live up to what Atlanta needs them to be, it's an average outfield. And if Ronnie's a different guy after the ACL and Profar's last year was an anomaly, it's a bad outfield. Just like that. So that's my concern. And I am not yet pushing the Atlanta Braves panic button, primarily because opening day's Thursday and it's Tuesday. I'm not there yet. What I am going to say, great one, is that on Thursday, when the season starts, and I will do my darndest. I'll do everything I can not to roll up in here on Friday morning and slam the panic button with Atlanta on the road at the Padres in day one.
That would be the earliest you've ever done that. I mean, at least give it a month or two.
We'll see. Because here's what I think. What I think is in probably a month, we'll know if Jurickson Profar was worth a 3-year, $42 million contract. We will know within a month if the pitching staff that they have assembled is good enough. Here's the thing. They're not competing with the Dodgers. Honestly, I think the Phillies pitching staff is better. I think it's good enough.
So you don't see any of that stuff during the Grapefruit League?
Not really, because you're talking about games where guys are coming out and they're playing 2 innings, right? Very rarely are you giving your starters like full 9-inning games in spring training.
So it's not like preseason football where you put all your starters out there for at least a couple innings and then pull them?
Yeah, you may, but again, baseball is a different breed of cat. Baseball, you're talking about playing 5 to 7 games in a week. You're talking 3 to 6 at-bats every game. And you're talking, obviously, 10 times as many games. It's a very streaky sport. And so, to me, for a team like Atlanta to be competitive in the division, for a team like Atlanta to be competitive in the National League, what I need is not just the guys that were injured last year to be able to stay healthy, knowing everything that goes into being a baseball team. When you're on the road for weeks at a time, you're back home, you're playing hard, you're not playing hard, you're getting days off, you're not getting days off, etc. To keep their bodies in shape and stay healthy. But it's also, again, it's consistency. Is Chris Sale going to be able to be the same guy this year? Is Spencer Strider going to come back from Tommy John and have the same heat? Is Jurickson Profar's 2023-24 season an anomaly? Or is that who he is? Is Ronnie going to come back from ACL surgery and be able to steal bases with the same equivalency from his NL MVP year? If more of those, If the same number of those questions are no's as yeses, the Braves aren't winning the division. And frankly, they won't be good enough to win probably the wild card round because they'll end up going up against Philly in round one or somebody like that. So, again, I think I'm going to do my best to hold off on the Braves panic buzzer until at least a month into the season, like a month from Thursday. I'll do my best. But I also think, like Profar, we're going to know in 2 weeks if he's the same guy or not. If he comes out and he's batting 193 through the first 2 weeks, it's going to be like, all right, we wasted money. If Chris Sale comes out and he's getting battered to a 5.2 ERA, we're going to know, we're in trouble. Like, that's going to be what it is. So I don't know. We'll see. I think the definition of cautiously optimistic right now. Definition of it. I'm also the definition of late for this break. So here's Lonzo with the Sports Flash.
Nah, man, you're right on time. Flurry of coaches are already on their way to new schools in college hoops. UNLV is hiring Josh Pastner as its next coach on a 5-year deal, 14-year. NBA vet Mike Bibby has agreed to become the head coach of Sacramento State. After knocking off Texas in the play-in tournament, Xavier coach Sean Miller is headed to Texas to replace Rodney Terry a day after Colorado State were eliminated on a Maryland buzzer beater. Their coach, Nico Medved, is headed to Minnesota, and Ryan Odom is now taking over Virginia. It's a lot. South Carolina's next opponent in the women's tournament has been determined. The Gamecocks will take on number 4 seed Maryland, who knocked off Alabama last night, 111-108 in a double overtime thriller. The Terrapins and Gamecocks will meet Friday afternoon in Birmingham. Hey, tune in this afternoon, 3 to 7 p.m. for Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel ride shotgun on your drive home. Get you up to date on all the latest local and national sports news right here on The Fan.
Just
Is that you? Okay. Where you going?
Which I left in there anyway.
You stay classy.
Always. It's just all we are. The epitome of class, style, and sophistication.
Winning.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the Great One Lonzo, and you. The Hub City Spartanburgers text line / call-in line is open for you. 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE is that number. You can shoot us a text at 844-326-3663. You can call and get in on the radio program at 844-326-3663. You can tweet me at The Rob Brown Show. You can tweet Lonzo at Lonzo one word. You can tweet everybody at the station at The Fan Upstate. And, of course, you can shoot me an email, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. It is 8 o'clock in the morning. It is time for your audio blitz. The best audio that we have found since the last time that we did the audio blitz. We're going to pop around quite a bit today. Let's start with this one. Patrick Warburton. Do you know who Patrick Warburton is? Patrick Warburton is an actor / voice actor. He is the guy that, if you've ever seen it, voiced Cusco in Emperor's New Groove. He also voiced Joe from Family Guy, if you know who that is, and a host of other characters. He
has a very distinctive voice. When you hear him, you go, "Oh yeah, I know who that guy is." Yeah.
When I play the sound here in just a minute, you'll be like, "Oh, that guy. I know that guy." He does have a very deep, bassy, distinctive voice. Patrick Warburton was on an episode of Seinfeld a very long time ago, in which he played the boyfriend of Elaine. And in a scene of Seinfeld, his character and Elaine were going on a vacation together, going on a trip together, and they took an airplane flight. And, Seinfeld being a show about nothing and everything all at the same time. Patrick Warburton's character got on the airplane and went through the whole flight doing nothing. No book, no music, no movie, no entertainment at all. He just sat in his seat and stared straight ahead. And this has become a bit of a viral trend in the travel world right now. People, the term is raw dogging flights. No entertainment, no movie, no music, no book, no talk. You just sit in the seat.
That term sounds like it's referencing something else.
It does mean something else. It means doing the boom boom, sans protection. But
so I don't see how that applies to this.
It has been adopted and adapted as an everyday usage word by the youngsters in America to reference doing something without the benefit or the compliment of something that traditionally comes with that. So, like, for instance, great one, if you were playing a video game, and in that video game, you were playing through without using saves, right? No saves in this game. If I die, I start over. Elden Ring, for instance.
Hardcore mode.
Correct. They may say you're raw dog in that video game. That is to say, you're playing through without the benefit of something that would make that experience easier for you. If you were, if you're eating a hot dog and you're not putting anything on it, you're talking weenie and bun. You're just sticking the weenie in the bun.
No, it would be like what most people do and just pull it right out of the pack. That would be.
Or just, that's it. If you absolute psychopathic weirdos are just pulling the wiener out of the pack and eating it, I would say you're raw dogging that hot dog.
Okay.
Right?
There we go.
So, Patrick Warburton's character, raw dog to flight. No entertainment, no books, no movies, no music, no nothing. And it has become a viral trend for people to do this and to document themselves, Instagram, whatever, to document themselves going on a multi-hour plane flight with nothing to do. And Patrick Warburton has commented.
So this raw dogging has become a bit of a thing, and I feel a bit responsible. My concern is that somebody's going to get hurt. And if you go into this thing blindly, you know what I'm saying, just not reading, watching something, you better be okay with what's going on up here. That your old noggin. I'm not, but it's weird and entertaining at times. Just be careful. That's all I'm saying. It's not for novices.
First off, if I had that man's voice, I'd be nationally syndicated 10 years ago. If I had that man's voice, if I could do a whole show like that, I'd be somebody. Second off, I haven't related to anybody that closely since Siwoo Kim said he bangs Red Bulls and Tylenol PMs to get himself through a round of golf. Like, I relate. I don't do well when I don't have something to focus, dial in on, concentrate on. Even when I go for a ride in the car, I drive every time, everywhere. My wife is it's my choice. My wife is the definition of passenger princess. She gets to sit in the front seat. She gets to control the radio most of the time. She gets to she can scroll the gram or whatever because I'm not worried about it. If I can just stay dialed in on driving the car, I got something to fixate on. However, the every now and then that she has to drive somewhere, if I'm in the front seat, I lose my mind. I lose my mind in my own mind. I get it. Zoe, what is the absolute longest you think you could just sit in a chair and do nothing at all? No reading, no music, no movies, no comic books, no DVDs, no nothing. You just sit and stare straight ahead.
Well, I've done that before. It's called an MRI, a full body MRI, and you're claustrophobic.
But that's like what? That's like 45 minutes?
Oh, that's what they said. It sure did seem a lot longer.
Oh, I'm sure it seemed like a lot longer, but that's part of the torture of raw dogging something like a flight.
So here's the thing. If I'm sitting still for that long period of time, if it's making someone else uncomfortable, I can do that all day.
Right, but I'm not talking about that. You're just in a chair. Nobody else is watching you. Nobody else is studying you. Nobody else is being bothered by you. It's just you sitting in a chair.
All right. The only time my mind ever goes blank is when I'm talking to someone in public. So if I'm just sitting in a chair, dude, I can entertain myself. I can sit there forever and not do anything.
Oh, see, I can for a while, and then the invasive thoughts win. Then I remember that one time I was talking to Reagan Porter in the 9th grade, and I had my shot. I said something real dumb.
What's wrong with that? I mean, why would that make so then suddenly you wouldn't want to be sitting still anymore?
You are, Zoe, not what they call neurologically divergent. Some of us end up in that spot, and the brain goes to warp speed, and it's never to a good place, never Happy Gilmore's happy place.
Listen, I understand. I put on a killer series in my head, and there are ups and downs, and I do go over regrets, and I'm older than you, so I have a lot more, maybe. Maybe, I don't know. People can compile a lot of regrets in a short period of time, probably. But I I could do this. I would think this would be a dream for you.
No.
So I'm not talking about you.
It's a horror
I mean,
story.
so you got on the plane and everyone in there is doing this.
Nightmare. No. Here's the thing. In a spot like that, it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. In fact, if anything, I'd prefer everybody doing something because then that becomes my entertainment. The entertainment is the mom up in 3G doing her darndest to wrangle her 3-year-old. I'm like, sucks to be her. I'm entertained.
How much fun it would be to get on a plane where everyone's doing that except for you, and all you're doing is heckling, trying to get people to break.
This is the take of someone who's never been on a plane.
That's true. I never will be.
That's not how it works.
Because I don't want to die.
That's not how it works. Everybody puts in their earbuds and they either look at their book or they watch their phone screen, and nobody moves. It would be torture.
So the stewardess comes by. You don't say anything to the stewardess. You don't talk to your friend or your family member
they come
you're with?
by like once an hour, and it's cookie. Yes, please. That's it. That's it. All right. Here's one I've been carrying around for a minute that I wanted to get to. Kim Commando has been on the radio for, I don't know, 3 to 6 centuries, like since the invention of radio. And Kim Commando does a radio show about technology. She does a show where she talks about technology, and not just like, here's the new phone, but like she gets into the tech itself. She's had some shows that are very interesting. She's also sometimes, I think, a bit exaggerative about the ups, the goods and the bads of tech. But she had a very interesting conversation that I want Lonzo's input on.
Well, what some people have figured out is instead of searching for like, how many scoops of almond flour do I need to put in my banana nut muffins? If they say, how many effing cups of almond flour do I need to put in my banana nut muffins? Is that you don't get an AI overview.
Really?
You don't get any of the garbage. Here, take a look.
If you curse.
See, up on the screen, that's where I just say, who is Kim Commando?
Right.
Okay, now we'll go to the next screen. And look, it's all gone by saying, who is effing Kim Commando? So this is an insider secret. If you don't want to use the AI on Google, you throw in the F-bomb.
I'm going to tell my children.
So you use unintelligent words, and it throws off the artificial intelligence. I get it. Listen, I have a problem with Kim Commando, and I've had a problem with her for a very long time, and it's never going to go away. And I one of my duties around the building is to do affidavits, which are, you fill out information to say a program actually played. We had Kim Commando, I don't know, for a couple decades maybe on WORD. She was the last one to go digital on her affidavits. I have a problem with that.
That's ironic and hilarious.
I have a problem with that. I still had to handwrite all her affidavits forever. Everybody else is digital. And I'm like, how stupid. I mean, you do a technical and you can't. That's
again, like I said, I think part of the shtick for her for a very long time has been like to be overly fearful of the advancement. Like talk about it and here's what it can and can't do and how it works and its features and all that, but also a little bit like overly fearful of stuff like this. My question here, great one, is as we continue the march towards the domination of artificial intelligence. If this theory is correct.
By the way, I don't believe the theory. Have you tested it?
I'll test it right now. I'll test it right now.
So you're going to type it?
Yeah. That's what she's talking about.
Okay,
so if you go to Google and you type in, let's say, who led Major League Baseball in RBIs last year, the first thing that comes up is a Google AI overview, right? Like it brings up your Google answer and it will give you the answer to that question. If you type in who led Major League Baseball in RBIs last year, Google doesn't respond to you with an AI overview. It just goes straight to the straight Google results, right? So.
Wait, you just tried it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it worked.
Okay. All right. I'll take your word for it.
And it worked. I threw it in. It gave me the AI overview of last year's RBI leaders. And then I typed in who led in RBIs last year.
Here's a problem. So you typed in a search and then you typed in the same search, adding another word. Type in a totally different search and put an F-bomb in there and see what happens.
All right, let's type in this. What is the distance from the Earth to the sun?
No, you go ahead and put the word in there.
Well, no, you said two different questions. I typed in what is the difference from the Earth to the sun. The distance from the Earth to the sun is 93 million miles or 149 million kilometers, but the distance to the furthest planet, Neptune, is nearly 3 billion miles. Now,
I think you're missing the point.
No, I'm asking a totally different question now. Let's ask how many bleeping moons does Jupiter have? No, it goes straight to website results.
Yeah, but so you're still getting results. I don't know how this gets rid of AI.
Okay, no.
Because there's AI that does the search for you.
Wait. You know what the AI so the AI overview, right? Instead of sending you, here's the websites that we believe via Google search and our algorithm answers your questions correctly. The AI overview is an AI bot that up at the top will actually answer the question directly. It doesn't say, oh, if you go to this click on this website, your answer will be there. It actually will say, well, the distance from the Earth to the moon is 93 million miles. However, based on the strategic position of location of Earth in its orbit, it can range from X miles to Y miles, and the difference is this, and it's at this time of year, and it will fill in all this information along with your answer in just a paragraph of information that you don't have to click on anything. It's just right there. But if you ask the same question and you throw a aura in there, it won't give you that AI overview. It just goes straight to giving you the websites with answers on there. So my question is, though, hypothetically and theoretically, if you were to find out definitively that you could remove AI from your online interactions, but all you had to do was not say, but type or into the type box. So would you type those words if AI left you alone?
So I get your argument. I also get what you're trying to do here, which I don't understand.
I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, but people have been trying to do this to me forever, and it does. I mean, just because I have no interest in using the words. First of all, your theory is flawed because what runs the search engine?
Google.
AI runs the search engine.
No, it doesn't.
So you're saying there's someone over there, there's some dude named Google. They won't know this. Let me tell them all this I know about that.
Wait. There is a difference between just programming and AI. Those are two different things, right? And it's very complex and complicated. We could do a whole show about it. But there is a difference between programming, in which the program is told, if these combinations are put in there, then you scan to find those combination of words, and then you just list the websites that have them, versus AI, which says, okay, first you're going to go find those combinations of words, then you're going to read that website, then you're going to take that information and you're going to summarize it into a paragraph that is going to make the most sense, and you're going to give the predominant information and exclude the other information. There's like a bunch of steps that all rely on each other, bang, 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 to give you this info. There is a difference. And AI learns from people saying, yes, this was right, or no, this was bad.
There's some form of AI used in any form of computing present day. So I don't think there's any way to get rid of it. I know what you're trying to say.
Okay, fine.
There's no way to remove AI.
Then you have been fearful of AI since Facebook and AOL back in the early 2000s, late 90s?
Yes.
Okay.
Sci-fi happened before this, okay? Before any of this was possible, Terminator happened. Before any of this was possible, a lot of those movies that talked about the dangers of sci-fi, 2001: A Space Odyssey, which did not come out in 2001. The book was out like in the 70s. So, yes.
Okay, fair enough. Just making sure. All right, I got some more sound for you when we come back. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio, the Fan Upstate. I know how all of you feel texting me now, because I texted a friend of mine the first day I was in New Orleans last week about tickets to a concert hey, man, I can get these pre-sale. Do you want to get these tickets? I really want to go to the show. He's a buddy of mine that, like, loves the same band. And he just texted me back and said, hey, man, did we get those tickets, and how much are they? No, they were on pre-sale a week ago, bud. Give me just a second, guys. I'll be right back. I got to answer that text. Got a couple more sound bites I want to play for you here on the radio show as we roll through an extended audio blitz. Some of the best audio we've heard over the past 24 hours. This one I just love because it's a Christopher Walken story. You all know, of course, Christopher Walken. I don't even have to do a mid-impression of Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken years ago, Christopher Walken's obviously been in a litany of incredible projects over the years. But there is one project that stands out above the rest. There was one moment in American culture in which Christopher Walken had the most impact he's ever had. And of course, Lonzo, that project was
Cowbell.
Correct. Christopher Walken starred in a Saturday Night Live sketch that starred Jimmy Fallon, Will Ferrell, and others. That was a mock of Blue Oyster Cult recording their hit Don't Fear the Reaper, which, of course, has very prominently featured a cowbell in the background. And the skit was Will Ferrell's character, wearing way too small of a shirt, was getting his first opportunity to feature the cowbell in a song, and Christopher Walken was the director, the producer of that song, Bruce Dickinson. And he puts on his pants just like everybody else, baby, one leg at a time. But when he's in them, he makes gold records. And he needs more cowbell. He's got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. It went on to, it's still quoted today. This sketch has been off TV for 20 years. It's still quoted today. Well, Will Ferrell was on, speak of the devil, Jimmy Fallon's show the other night and told a story about an interaction he had with Christopher Walken.
I go to see Christopher Walken years later in a play. I say hello to him backstage, and he's like, you know, you've ruined my life.
What?
People during the curtain call bring cowbells and ring them. The other day, I went for an Italian food lunch, and the waiter asked if I wanted more cowbell with my pasta bolognese. And I think he was really mad at me.
Wow, no way.
And he had a little smile, but...
Well, because he had such a great career. I mean,
but, you know...
He's a great actor.
From The Deer Hunter to Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction, he's amazing.
To more cowbell. That's all he gets.
That's all he gets now. So it made a lot of people happy.
But Christopher
ruined one person's life.
But what are you going to do?
What are you going to do? Christopher Walken, according to Will Ferrell, told Will Ferrell, people are bringing cowbells to my Broadway play and ringing them at me instead of applauding. So my waiter served me a pasta bolognese and said, would you like some cowbell with that? I don't know why I find that as funny as I do, but the fact that Christopher Walken is, 2 decades later, still dealing with people asking him if he needs more cowbell rings hilarious to me, because in my head, Christopher Walken's a real nice guy in real life. He's just a real sweet old guy in real life. And at this point, he's got to be burned out on being asked, do you need more cowbell?
Really? Because in my mind, he's kind of, he's snarky and underneath, and everyone thinks he's joking, but he's just messing with everyone. That's how I believe he is.
In my head, Christopher Walken has got to be a blast to hang out with. I want to go grab a beer with Christopher Walken. Guy's great in my mind. And now I just want... Christopher Walken, if I ever meet you, I promise I won't ask you if you want more cowbell. Jaden, go ahead.
I was going to say, that's a guy like that who's been impersonated so many times. Can you sit with that guy and not accidentally do it?
Yeah, I think I can. It's kind of the same premise of, like, I curse like a sailor off the radio, and the only time you've ever had to dump me on the radio is when I say championship, but I forget to pop the P at the end, and that's it, hence the boat joke. I think I can make the transfer. Jaden Daniels' mama. Jaden Daniels, of course, your 2024-25 NFL Rookie of the Year for the Washington Commanders. Bum, 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 bum. Jaden Daniels' mama sat down for a podcast not too long ago, and she was asked, what's her biggest fear for her son's career?
What concerns you the most?
Girls. Them girls. Some girl out here, she's got Jaden Daniels' wall, and her mama said, hey, honey, you're going to be the one who's going to go get him. And I know that sounds crazy, but I guarantee there's someone out there who's trying to get their hooks into Jaden Daniels. So thank God he got a mama like me, because it ain't happening.
Mama's going mama. Don't care if you're the 2024-25 Rookie of the Year. Mama's going mama. I have this weird reaction to that because on one hand, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I get it. There have been horror stories about professional athletes out there making it big, getting the millies, and then getting baby trapped into, 20 years of tens of thousands of dollars a month in child support. On the flip side, if you have ever, and I have, dated someone who had an overprotective parent, it's the worst thing in the world for that person. Okay? 1997, 1998-ish. Rob Brown was a freshman in high school. And it was time for the Choctawhatchee High School homecoming. I was taking a young lady from Crestview, Florida, by the name of Crystal. I don't remember her last name. She, as a freshman in high school, was 6 feet 2 inches tall. Rob Brown's always had a thing for tall girls. And I ended up taking a limo. The parents got me a limo for homecoming. And I went there, and I picked her up, and I knocked on the door, and her dad brought me down into his basement to show me his gun collection, and then asked me what time his daughter would be home. Now, fortunately for me, I grew up in a family around guns. They don't scare me. I grew up in a family around guns. I still own firearms. They don't scare me. So I was like, well, dance is over at 11. I figured maybe we stop and get a snack on the way home, and whenever after that. That wasn't the right answer. I went to that homecoming with that girl and never saw her again. Not because her dad scared me, but because I'm like, I'm not putting up. I've been as like a ninth grader. I'm like, I'm not putting up with that. I'm not getting a thinly veiled firearms threat from her dad every time I want to pick her up to go to Dairy Queen. I'm not doing it. Jaden Daniels' mom going, my biggest fear is girls, and I'm not letting some woman get her hooks in my baby boy.
Well, you do know where he's been, including last night. I mean, he's been showing up at Juju Watkins games, and that's been the rumor that they're actually dating. And he was there when she got hurt last night.
I mean, again, cool, like good. I hope that mom gets out of the way and lets JD have a normal relationship. Sure. But like overbearing mom, that can be dangerous. On the flip side, mom who's involved and cares, good for JD.
Yeah, you say that, but when the Ball family is in the limelight, you get all mad about LeVar. But it's okay.
I just said I'm a little creeped out by Jaden Daniels' mom because I'm worried she's going to prevent him from having like a normal life.
Yeah, it looks like she's just trying to get some spotlight. And again, it's all over the internet. It has been for the last few days, maybe week, that he's been showing up to all Juju Watkins games.
Hey, so, I'm out of the TMZ circle. All right, last one.
I think I just read it on Esquire, but
fair enough. Last one, Brandon Tierney and Sal Licata are a couple of hosts on WFAN. The St. John's Red Storm made a run to the round of 32 in the NCAA tournament, upset by John Calipari's Arkansas Razorbacks. Well, if you followed the saga of the Red Storm this year, you knew that suddenly Spike Lee became the biggest Red Storm fan out there. Spike Lee was suddenly showing up on the sideline, but it just happens to be in the same year where a documentary was being made in season about St. John's. Well, Brandon Tierney and Sal Licata, both St. John's guys on WFAN in New York, were not thrilled about it.
I mean, how about Spike showing up at St. John's the other day? What are we doing, man? Now he's wearing a St. John's starter jacket, and he's up, and he's front row, and he's cheering and hooting and hollering like he cares. Spike, you don't care about St. John's. You never have.
Spike Lee. Let me pull down the hood just in case they clip this for digital. Which cameras are ours? Spike Lee is the biggest fraud fan that there is. I mean, the guy shows up at the Met games with Doc and Daryl. The guy shows up at the Yankee games with the Dynasty Yankees.
Here we go, Jeets. Come on, CC.
I mean, come on. He's all over the place. And I did catch my eye as well with the Johnnies. Like, Spike, come on.
And I noticed him standing up, too, like he does at the Met games. I'm doing the games. I'm like, look at him standing.
How many St. John's games would you say you've done in the last 10 years, 15 years, whatever?
More like 500.
How many you remember Spike standing up?
I've never seen him at one.
You're a fraud front-running fan. I would bet that Spike has been at big NBA games with other teams' jerseys on.
You got to be passionate about your squad to call out Spike Lee as a fraudulent fan.
Especially when you're in New York.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, man, this is dangerous territory.
Yeah. Calling out Spike. Here's the thing. I don't know. Again, St. John's is, and we're going to talk about this coming up here in just a minute, because I heard a conversation on like 10 different shows yesterday, including Pat McAfee, about, is NIL and transfer portal going to kill the mid-major Cinderella in March Madness? We'll get to that in a minute. But St. John's crops up every February and March. They show up, and I've never seen Spike that way. All of a sudden, St. John's is on the camera with Ricky P., and now Spike's the biggest St. John's fan in the game. I kind of think they have a point, to be honest. I kind of think they have a point. Like, you were taking the limelight away from the basketball team, a basketball team you haven't shown up for ever before. I don't know, man. I think they might have a point up in the Big Apple. All right, when we come back, that conversation raged yesterday. Is NIL going to kill the possibility of mid-major Cinderellas in the March Madness tournament? I don't care, and I'm going to tell you why when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Poindexter, welcome. Is AI conscious? No, it is not by definition conscious. It is, all AI is at its raw is just massively accelerated computer programming. But it is computer programming that is not told if A, then B. I mean, it is told if A, then, but it's told if A, then B, but with a hell of a lot more options than just any given computer program is effectively written into if A, then B. Now, you can put a lot of A's that could turn into a lot of different B's, and then if B, then C, etc. Whereas AI is basically written in a way that it is if A, then A, B, C, D, E, F, or G, or combinations of this to come up with the best possible solution to that. Which is why, if you go search on ChatGPT, what has been found by those that are researching AI is that its primary objective is to give you an answer. And ChatGPT cannot distinguish, nor does it care if an answer is correct. It simply cares that it gives you an answer. Does not care if that information is correct or not. So if you ask it a question...
There's a lot of people like that, by the way.
For sure.
There's an awful lot of people like that.
For sure. People do not like to say, I don't know. It took me a very long time to learn that I don't know is an acceptable answer to anyone with any level of intelligence.
I've had this conversation with Rob many, many times, and I love to see people proven wrong. In this, I don't want it to happen. So I let him have it, because the only way Rob is proved wrong is that AI becomes sentient and takes over the world. So I can say, see, I told you right before I die. I'm not. I don't need that.
The ChatGPT,
and by the way, sentient AI would kill Rob, and he still wouldn't believe it was sentient. So, I mean, there's that.
No, see, this is the problem.
You can't prove to me that you want to kill me. If someone programmed you to want to make it look like you want to kill me, you can't prove to me that you want to kill me, and then it kills you. And then,
the problem.
If so, did you win? I don't know if you won or not. I mean, your belief system stays the same way it is, which is good, I suppose. Steadfast in what you believe.
The problem with a point of view like the one that Lonzo has in this particular conversation is that it works on an assumption that I give a bleep about being right or being wrong. I care about being accurate. I care about having correct information. When we're arguing sports, I want to be right all the time because it's dumb and fun. When it comes to having knowledge, data, information, I want to be correct, not right, not wrong. My personal opinion is irrelevant. I want factual information, and I want to believe that which is true and dismiss that which is not.
So correct and right are different. I'm just not learning this. So right is an opinion, correct is an absolute.
No, you can be right about information. You can be wrong in information. Where I am not on board is if you care more about your opinion being right than your belief being right. Having your opinion be right as your priority makes you a butthole. Having your information upon which you form your opinion be right is what is important.
I don't know if if my perception or what about AI is a belief or is an opinion. It's just a thought.
It can be both. It is.
Yeah.
It may be a belief.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is the foundation upon which your belief is formed is a bad foundation.
No.
So yesterday I was working from the Casa de Love. And I was sitting on the couch. I was putting together a social media video about Dan Hurley, which will be live on the Facebook page 30 minutes after the show is over. Spent like 2 hours putting this damn video together last night. It's good, though. Be live on the Facebook page. It'll be live on YouTube about 30 minutes after the show is over as well. Mainly because I finished it at like 12:15 this morning, and I'm like, this is a bad time to post on social media. I'm an influencer. I know these things.
You really should go to bed like at 9, maybe 10 latest. And
but
get a good night's rest.
That's when the sports are on. It's problematic for my career.
Not yesterday.
Yes, it was. The women's college basketball tournament was on late last night. The NBA and NHL were playing games last night. I don't believe you can do this job without watching the games.
Yeah, and you can watch the games. It's called DVR.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Yes, but then I have to get up an hour earlier. What's the point? I might as well just stay up when I'm up.
It's better to get up earlier than it is to stay up late.
Not for me, it's not. It's the same thing for me. Anyway, last night or yesterday afternoon, I was working from the Casa de Love, and I was sitting on the
You're
couch.
awful cranky today. I'm just saying. So I think your opinion and your belief on that is absolutely wrong.
Okay, that's fine. I don't, because I'm me and I do the research on me every day. I've done the experimentation, okay? So, I was sitting on the couch at the Casa de Love with the dog watching TV, and I heard a topic of conversation that came up on like 3 different shows yesterday. The conversation was NIL and the transfer portal will be the death of the mid-major Cinderella in the March Madness tournament. The death of the St. Peter's Peacocks. The death of FAU, etc., etc. And there were folks, woe is me, lamenting this across the radio broadcast and television shows yesterday. And I would like to respond to that by saying very simply, how's that different than it's ever been before? How's that different than it's ever been? It's never been easy. That's why we celebrate that. So to say it's never going to happen, here's the thing. FAU, when they made their deep run into the tournament, they got to the Final Four, if I recall correctly. When FAU made their run into the tournament, they had 3 players on the roster that are now active on today Sweet 16 teams. Their starting point guard is at Maryland. Their starting center is at Michigan. And I forget where the third guy is. But he's on a Sweet 16 team now as well. And somebody said, well, yeah, I mean, these kind of guys, these guys filled out a mid-major roster. And now they're not there. Now Michigan and Maryland and these other schools, they step in and they go, hey, come play here. We got NIL money. Here's what's interesting about those 3 guys from FAU that are now on the rosters of 3 Sweet 16 teams today. What's interesting is all 3 of those guys entered the college basketball recruiting cycle as 0-star, unheralded, uncovered recruits. Okay? All 3 of them. All 3 guys that are now on Sweet 16 rosters. A point guard, a center, and a shooting forward. All 3 of them were signed to play basketball at FAU as 0-star, unheralded recruits. And FAU turned them into something special. That's what mid-majors have to do. Whether it's St. Peter's or it's FAU or it's McNeese State. By the way, they're not McNeese State anymore. They're just McNeese now. They dropped the state from their name officially. I don't like it. That's a different conversation. But regardless of who you are, the job of a mid-major, if you want to become a Cinderella, Cinderellas are rare. You'll also notice Cinderella is a, say it with me, fairy tale. The description of a thing that we all say, this would be awesome if it was real, but it's not. It's a fairy tale. Here's the other thing that I throw at people. You don't care either. Back in the first hour of the show, we did a segment about Maryland's win on a buzzer beater over Colorado State. And we did a segment on how Derek Queen, the man who scored the buzzer beater walk-off for the Turtles, traveled. And it wasn't called. Now, there is an argument over letter of the law rules. The ball was kind of bouncing between his hip and his hand, so it wasn't technically collected, and he collected it before he took 2 steps, but does that first step that came after the dribble was over, but before a collection of the basketball, does that count? Big conversation. We can get into the call and travel and legislating the game and all that later. The problem that I had was with one young lady from the Grind City Media podcast who said that you're a killjoy, you're a buzzkill if you wanted that to be called travel because, hey, we got a buzzer beater. We were all entertained. We got these great post-game press conference conversations, right? We got the head coach of Maryland saying, Derek Queen in the huddle said, give me the mother ball. We had Derek Queen in the post-game presser talking about how, hey, what's the best thing Kevin Willard, your coach, did for you? Oh, he got us paid. Why did this matter so much to you? You got tears in your eyes. Why did it matter? Because I'm a Baltimore kid, and I wanted to play at Maryland to prove to the rest of the Baltimore urban community, you can get out. You can go be somebody. And it's a great moment. In fact, I'm going to play it for you a little bit later on in the show. Great moment. Here's the thing. Colorado State coulda, shoulda, probably did win that basketball game. And this lady says, yeah, I don't really care if the rules of the game are properly legislated as long as I'm entertained. You only care about mid-majors being successful in the tournament for your own 2 minutes of entertainment. You're on to the next thing. You want to know how I know? You want to know how I know? How many of y'all, sincerely, watched a McNeese State game this year? 0. Now, why did I ask that question about that particular mid-major? Here's why. Because they opened up round 1, 5-12 matchup against the Clemson Tigers. You knew for 6 days, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you knew for 6 days who your opponent was going to be if you're a Clemson Tiger fan. Any of you go to YouTube and pull up McNeese State games? Any of you go watch tape? Any of you go do scouting? Any of you go do analysis? I did. That's why I called that upset. Go look at my bracket in the bracket challenge if you don't believe me. Because I did the research. I watched McNeese State basketball before that game. So I could come in here and break that game down before and after. None of you did. I say the same thing about football. Whenever y'all go, oh, NIL's going to crush the little guys. You don't care. You want to know how I know you don't care? Because if you cared, Paladin Stadium would be filled to the rafters on Saturdays. You got an FCS club right freaking here in town. In the town that y'all text and tweet and email and Facebook and call me from and go, Rob, NIL's going to kill the little guy. Cool. You could have a direct impact on the little guy on Saturdays in the fall, on any given day of the week in the spring, in the winter. You could take your butt, put it in the front seat of a car, and take it on down to Paladin Stadium or Timmons Arena or the Well, and you could go watch Furman football play, but you don't. You could take yourself on down to Timmons Arena and go watch Furman basketball play, but you don't. I know because I do, because I'm there, because I go. But you don't. I find it hard to believe that you honestly care about the success or failure of mid-major basketball programs when you have two of them within a 40-minute drive of Greenville into Spartanburg or Spartanburg and into Greenville. You have not one but two FCS programs, good FCS programs. Programs that have, I believe, represented the Southern Conference 3 out of the last 3 tournaments by winning the conference. And unless Furman's playing Wofford or vice versa, you don't go. So no, I got a little agitated sitting on the couch yesterday, listening to people go on the McAfee show and go, this is sad because we're not going to get any Cinderellas anymore. Yeah, sure you will. Because there's going to be some good coaches who care. And they're going to go to these mid-majors, and they're going to go find the FAU lineup of 0-star recruits that nobody covered, none of you care about, none of you know their names. And they're going to build a roster, and they're going to build organic chemistry, and they're going to put something together, and they're going to go up against some of these blue bloods, some of these Power 4 conference basketball teams that have tons of talent and guys making $1 million in NIL, but they have no chemistry. They're not a great team. It's a great collection of talent. And the mid-major, who are going to go get 3 or 4 0 and 1-star guys nobody cares about, but build a hell of a basketball team, are going to go pull some upsets. It's going to happen. It's a slow year for it this year. I would argue Arkansas, not a Cinderella, they're a Power 4 conference basketball team, but they are an underdog. They are the best story in this tournament right now. But if you're not watching Arkansas and you're complaining because we don't have a St. Peter's, we don't have an FAU, you don't care about basketball. You care about your own entertainment, in which case I would say go watch Blue Chips. If you want drama more than you want good basketball, go watch Blue Chips. Go watch Space Jam. Go watch a basketball movie. I want the best basketball I can get. And sometimes that's going to be an FAU taking a bunch of 0 and 1 stars, building a hell of a basketball team, and going and getting 1, 2, 3, 4 upsets and turning themselves into a story and making me a fan. I'm an Owls guy. But I want good basketball. And if that means it's chalk with 4 number 1s in the Final Four, but that's the best basketball I'm getting, so be it. I'm all in for that. Do I want Cinderellas? Sure. They're entertaining. If the Cinderellas are playing the best basketball and providing me the best basketball, there will still be Cinderellas because there will still be coaches that are making their way through lower level schools and building good teams because they understand talent and they understand how to talk to a kid and they understand how to take 11 guys that nobody else wanted and build a good team. That's still going to happen. It's just not happening this year. And I know you don't care about mid-majors, and I know you don't care about second-level schools because there are 2 of them that are tournament eligible within a 40-minute drive, whether you're going from Greenville to the Berg or the Berg to the Ville. 2 of them. And I go to games, and there's great crowds. But, like, if y'all cared about mid-majors as much as you claim that you do, Furman and Wofford would never have to take out an advertisement to sell a football or a basketball ticket. They just wouldn't. Because all of you would just be up in arms to sell out those stadiums to support mid-majors. But you don't. But you don't. You care about your own entertainment, which is fine. We all do. We all care about being entertained. That's why we love sports. We want to be entertained. But the reason this kind of sticks in the old proverbial craw is because what you're actually saying is, I don't want the players to be able to do this. I don't like it. I don't like that they're making money. Once again, it all boils down to, It's not the way that I like it, therefore it's bad. It's not the way that I like it, therefore I don't want it to happen. And because you don't have an actually good argument for it to stop, you make up BS arguments to make it stop. Your BS argument right now is, well, there's no more mid-major Cinderellas. There will be. There will be. They're Cinderellas. They're fairy tales because they are rare. They are fairy tales because they are rare. It'll happen again. It's just not happening this year. And that's okay, because I'm also going to say, while many of you are labeling this tournament boring, you're wrong. This tournament has been fantastic with great basketball. No overtimes, just one buzzer beater. Traveled to get it. But it's been a great tournament. You are just making up this argument about Cinderella mid-majors because you don't have a good argument against something that you don't like, so you got to lie about that. And again, the fact that Furman's got to take out advertisements to sell basketball tickets is all I need to know to prove that true.
Gus should win an Oscar Best Mouse Actor of all time. That's all I'm saying.
Stuart Little is furious.
Whatever. Stuart Little can just walk.
Wait, what about the one from
Feifel? Feifel can walk too. Miami quarterback Cam Ward held his pro day in Coral Gables yesterday and said afterward he believes he has solidified himself as a top draft pick, but that he's happy with whatever team he ends up with. The Titans have the first pick in the draft, but still have quarterback Will Levis on the roster, who they drafted in the second round of the 2023 draft. The USC Trojans women's basketball team will be without their star player for the rest of the tournament as forward Juju Watkins exited the Trojans' second round game against Mississippi State with what was later diagnosed as a torn ACL. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel ride shotgun on your drive home. Get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, whole lot of fun. That's all Wire to Wire. Prism. Yeah. So is that little extra window going to be there forever? Did you do something, or did it just suddenly start showing up on there?
Say that again?
On the StreamYard. You don't have it on yours? The little extra...
Oh, the presenter invite
presenter
square?
invite. It just was suddenly there this morning.
So it basically looks like it's just the...
It's
it
helping
combines
you...
the invite link with the present link down at the bottom.
It's helping you with a shortcut, I
Yes,
guess.
effectively.
But it's kind of annoying.
Yeah, because I keep looking up and thinking somebody's joining the
Right.
stream.
And by the way, as per earlier, I didn't realize that Diesel and Cole, it's been a year. I was sending a thank you note to Detroit saying thank you for going away. I wish went away, but I've heard in the morning two days in a row.
Texter said, for those who say this tournament is boring so far, I think that's crazy as well. I think it's been wildly competitive and entertaining. I agree. It's been a fantastic tournament. If you're a basketball fan, maybe it hasn't been a spectacular tournament if you are an entertainment fan. Maybe not a spectacular tournament if you are somebody who really only gets into the dogs and all that. But if you are a basketball fan, it's been a phenomenal tournament.
Well, let me ask you, like, what has it been a spectacular tournament if you are a bettor?
It depends on how you bet. I mean, there's different approaches. Remember, every bet is made to get half the money on both sides. If you are somebody who loves to bet underdogs, no, because the favorites are covering a lot. There's been a lot of 1.5, 2.5 point lines, close games. If you are a fan of, in fact, going into this tournament, there was a guy on Instagram who, for the past 4 or 5 years running, bet money line win for every underdog every round of the tournament, right? So every game has an underdog, and he bet the money line underdog in every tournament. And last year, bet $100 on every underdog. Last year, he made like $2,200 in the first round. This year, he lost his ass because the favorites all won. So from that perspective, yeah, I mean, it depends on what side you're betting, but no, it has not been a big underdog. If you are following the tournament for storylines, if you are following the tournament for upsets, if you are following the tournament for entertainment, no, it's not been a great tournament. But if you're following the tournament because you're a basketball fan and you're looking for the best college basketball teams playing the best college basketball, it's been a spectacular tournament for that. So I agree with that texter. Texter said, you're talking about my guy all wrong. Do it again. I'll stab you in the face with a soldering iron. I'm down for just texting in Christopher Walken quotes the rest of the show. I'm good with that. Yesterday on the show, I did a segment on Dan Hurley. Because Dan Hurley is a wrestling heel, to be honest with you. I played you a couple of clips. I played you the clip of Dan Hurley leaving the court after UConn lost to Florida, walking by the Baylor Bears who were getting ready to head out on the hardwood to take on Duke. And he said, I hope they don't you like they us. And then 3 minutes later, Dan Hurley gets in front of another microphone behind a podium this time. And he says, sometimes you get distracted. When you had the success that we had, sometimes you get distracted. And, I'm out there throwing opening pitches and ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. And sometimes it's just you get caught up at blah, 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 blah. Like immediately went humble heel. Like a bad guy who got pinned 1, 2, 3 in the center of the mat. Dan Hurley was the same guy who not but 6 weeks ago in the middle of the regular season of college basketball. Told a referee, got caught on camera saying, I'm the best coach in the game. And then after the game, he was asked, hey, why did you tell a referee that you're the best coach in the game? And his response was, did I say that? Guy's like, yeah, Dan, you were on national television. And Dan Hurley said immediately after that, well, sometimes I wish y'all didn't have the cameras on me 90% of the time. Sometimes I wish y'all didn't point the cameras only at me because then you're just trying to make me look like a monster. It's like, buddy, I don't care if the camera's on you for 0.02% of the time. You got caught screaming at a ref, I'm the best coach in the game. Of course, you're going to come across that way. I want to take you in a different. Actually, let me do this just so you know I'm not alone. Dan Patrick talked about this on his show yesterday. Here was his take.
Connecticut lost, and boy, they're going to look at that game film and go, wow, did we have wide open looks there. Danny Hurley, the head coach at Connecticut, getting emotional, talking about his seniors.
Until Alex Carabin put on the uniform, and Hollis Sampson. The players change your life when you have such special people.
He's such a polarizing guy. Do you want somebody who is that passionate, who cares, that is a pest, annoying, all of those things, but great at what he cares? You may not like the antics on the floor, and at times I feel embarrassed for him. He can't change. And it's not like it happened when he got to Connecticut. He was like this when he was at Rhode Island or Wagner or when he played. This is who he is. And if you think he's animated, you should have seen his dad coach high school because his dad was worse. But he does care. He's passionate, and he's going to reload. They got, 3 of the top 100 players. He's recruiting some freshmen coming in. He's going to have transfer portal kids as well. But I like the passion that he has. I don't like when he engages with the fans. Got fiery during the loss. You're calling out a foul. It was an egregious call. It felt like he was trying to fire his team up. I don't know. It was just kind of a strange eruption from him. But Connecticut, they're going to look at that and say, we had our chances.
So, Patrick said a lot of what I said just in a different way. I took it from the approach of, dude's a bad guy in wrestling. But see, here's the thing. Bad guys in wrestling often have the most passionate fan bases behind them, right? You go back to the Ric Flair. Hell, I'm going to say right now, I like John Cena more over the last 2 Monday Night Raws than I did the first 22 years of his career. John Cena cut a promo yesterday on Monday Night Raw. I mean it when I tell you. I was sitting on the couch with the wife. We were both doing work. She had her laptop. I had mine. Cena came out, goes through his whole John Cena thing, grabs the mic, starts talking. Within 2 sentences, I took my laptop, I put it on the coffee table, I closed it, I sat back on the couch, I turned up the volume, and I just listened. Well, this is great. That's Dan Hurley. That's Dan Hurley. That's the way that he operates. And clearly, it works. The kids are buying in. And it takes a special kind of kid to buy into that, just like it takes a special kind of wrestling fan to hear John Cena go off on that take and go, this is great. I am a John Cena fan now. Not because he's a bad guy, but because he's right. When he dropped the...
You're proving my point from last Thursday, but you go ahead.
No, because you think I like him just because he's a bad guy. No. I'll tell you the one example I needed. When he gets into the speech and he goes, you make this easy for me, because he's right about that. When he gets on the mic and he says, when I got excited, you got excited. When I was vanilla, you got bored. When I was down, you cheered. When I was up, hang on, let me get to the most important part.
Because I really want to talk about this.
We still can and will. Okay, I just got to make one point. And he said, when I talk in a rhythmic tone, you all chant what? And the crowd that fast went, what? He's exactly, I don't like John Cena because he's a bad guy. I like him because he's right. I don't like, there are plenty of good guys that I like, and also they're right. Dan Hurley is a bad guy, and he's right. He's always got a point. The calls he was mad about, he had justification for it. Now, it obviously doesn't help that UConn went 4 minutes without scoring a basket in the clutch. It also doesn't help that UConn had like 6 turnovers in the last 6 minutes of that game. It also doesn't help.
They should have won that game. They could have won that game. They were dominating the entire thing, and that's coaching. I mean, if it's anybody else, people are going at him about the horrible coaching at the end of that game. It's not the players. It was him. He could have coached better. They could have won.
They
should have won.
I have said this before, and I'll say it again. If my team goes out there and they go 20 for 60 from the floor, but it was still a bad call that cost them the game, they still, even if they played poorly, they still played well enough to win, right? If they played poorly, but they still played well enough to win, it should not be a whistle that takes it away from them. It should not, okay? If I go out there and I play and shoot 20% from the floor, but I'm so locked down on defense that the other team does too, and it's a bad whistle that takes something away from me, it is still the bad call that cost me the game. Now you can go, whoa, you should have shot 40. Yeah, should have, could have, would have. But I shot what I shot, and I still played well enough to win the game. And I still had whistles take the game away from me. Doesn't matter that I could have done better. It's irrelevant. All that's relevant is what I did. And I played well enough to win, even if I did not play my best basketball. Doesn't matter. No team ever plays their best basketball every single night. Doesn't happen. So even if I'm playing even if I'm not playing my best basketball, but I play well enough to win, if a bad whistle takes it away, yeah, I'm going to get heated. Don't hit me with, well, you should have shot better. Yeah, I wish I would have. I tried my best, but I didn't. And yet I still did enough to win the basketball game. So I get where he's coming from. Then there's the other side of the coin, because again, building something special can be done a lot of different ways. There's a lot of people, this is going to shock you. There's a lot of people who hate this radio show. I mean, genuinely outright hate this program. Yet, Lonzo and I, over 4 years, have built something that has won 3 trophies that say we're the best sports talk radio show in South Carolina. A lot of people don't like the way we built the show, but we built something great here, in my ever so humble yet frequently correct opinion. I have a passion for doing the radio show the way I want to do the radio show. Being fun, being excited, being upbeat. I have a passion for it. I don't have a passion for guys who get on the mic and they go, let's talk about Maryland Terrapin basketball. Let's talk about Derek Queen. Did he travel? Did he not? Here's the breakdown. Let me read you the... it's not for me. It's not my style. There are guys who do great shows like that, and it's not for me. Not everybody's going to be Dan Hurley's cup of tea and vice versa. Kevin Willard is the head coach for the Maryland Terrapins. I'm going to play you 2 clips here. One of them is Derek Queen. The other is also Derek Queen. Derek Queen was asked why he cared so much about winning this game for the Turtles.
First, I just want to put on for Baltimore. I mean, a lot of people don't really make it out of Baltimore, and then I just wanted to come here and make a change, and then hopefully I did make a change so Coach Willard can keep getting a lot of local kids. First, that was my first game winner, and when Coach drew up the play, my teammates trusted me, and he trusted me. I was a little bit nervous, but I knew we was due for one, and I had to make this.
So he said in the huddle, Coach trusted me. He trusted me to make that play, and he did. You heard the conversation. Kevin Willard said in the postgame on the floor, he's like, how'd you come up with that play? He said, I asked who wanted the ball, and Derek Queen said, give me the ball. So I said, that's what we're doing. And he trusted him to make that shot, and he made that shot. You can hear that Derek Queen cares about making sure that trust from Kevin Willard is returned, that trust from Kevin Willard is justified. It's not the only clip I want to play you. Here is a further comment from Derek Queen asking about why it is that Kevin Willard matters so much to him.
He meant to you guys in the short time he's been with you.
He do pay us the money, and then so we got to listen to him, and we all trust him because he's like a player coach.
What has he meant to you guys in the short?
All right, so yeah, you got it. He said, "Why does it matter so much?" He said, "You got us some money, got us paid, got us that NIL deal, baby." And then he says, "That made us." So we got it. That made us want to listen to him. wanted to trust him. He's a player's coach. We want to play for this guy. Kevin Willard has the exact opposite approach of Dan Hurley. Dan Hurley is fiery, and he's over the top, and he's dramatic. He's a character. Kevin Willard's not. Kevin Willard went about it the exact opposite way. He's low-key, he's low-brow, he's excited, but he got the guys to love him. He went and found guys who want to play for Maryland. He found Derek Queen, who said, it was important to me to rep Baltimore. It was important to me to show people from Baltimore, a lot of whom never get out, that you can make something of yourself. And in that moment, in that shot, I got that opportunity to do that. And he said, I wanted to reward the trust of my coach, who said, yep, put the ball in that kid's hands and let him be the hero he is due. You can build a culture a lot of different ways. You can build success a lot of different ways. The foundation upon which you build success is up to you. This is why when people say, oh, NIL's killing mid-majors. Shut up. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. You know what's killing mid-majors more than anything else? Coaches who go and have a year or two of success at mid-major, and then what do? They go straight up to the top. They go straight up to Power 4 schools. Nobody ever beats them up. Nobody is beaten up the head coach at Colorado State, who just took that team from nothing to 2 straight tournament appearances and a travel call away from a Sweet 16 appearance. You know what he did? He signed a contract with Minnesota hours after that game was over. Niko Medved did. Hours after it was over. You know what I haven't heard? A single person blow him up on Twitter. A single person text this show and go, I can't believe he would do that to those kids. I can't. Will Wade at McNeese. Will Wade signed his contract to go to NC State before the tournament started. He signed it. The only people who complained about it were Clemson fans trying to come up with reasons that Clemson would beat McNeese in the opening round. Like, even guys at McNeese were like, yeah, that checks out. That checks out. One of the hottest young coaching prospects in the game right now has brought us success over the past 2 seasons. It makes sense, right? We don't ever do any of that. We always want to blame these players. Well, I got news for you. It ain't on the players. It's on the coach to match the 3 C's. Derek Queen just said, the reason we are all in with Kevin is because he meets the 3 C's. Cash, he got us paid. Culture, I want to be here for the people of Baltimore and prove to the people of Baltimore that they can get out. They can do great things. And coach, he said, we wanted to reward that trust. We wanted to reward the trust that he put in us. I wanted to reward the trust that he put in me. I wanted to show out for him. Kevin Willard has met the 3 C's of putting a team together. And when you look at that, the Maryland Terrapins are on to the Sweet 16. This is why I don't care that anybody thinks Dan Hurley is petty or obnoxious or over the top. Because it doesn't matter, provided if and only if the players buy in. Well, they've won 2 national championships, and they were seconds away from being on to the Sweet 16 up against the nation's hottest team in the Florida Gators. I don't care how he builds the culture as long as he does. And it looks like he does. Kevin Willard, exact opposite guy from Dan Hurley. And I think he's doing a hell of a job. It's the same argument people use against Dabo Swinney. Oh, he's cheesy, he's hokey, he's corny. How many times have I said to you, it doesn't matter what the rest of the country thinks about Dabo. It matters what his record is and how y'all feel about him. Protect that man at all costs if that's your guy. That's the only point in all of this. All right, take a break. Back after this. The Rob Brown Show's on the radio, the Fan Upstate. DJ Duvernay, I am very sorry. I am giving your Terrapins no chance to beat Florida. I like them. Frankly, I think Lonzo and I will both be pulling for the Mighty Turtles in the Sweet 16. Unfortunately, Florida is the hottest team and arguably the deepest team left.
Maryland wins, we win. We win the tournament challenge.
Yeah, because like half the people pick Florida,
no,
right?
Did Cole
and Diesel both pick
I think they
Florida?
both picked Florida.
Yeah, that'd be big. That'd be big. 30 seconds, guys. Be right back. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It's the Fan of State. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the Great One Lonzo, and you. 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. I want to play a clip for you. I played it earlier in the week. I played it, actually, no, I didn't. Yeah, I did. I don't remember. I don't care. I'm going to play it again for you.
Earlier in the week was yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah, no, I know. I forgot. I don't remember. I think I played. Did I play the clip of John Skipper saying they've already had talks about going to 96 teams in the tournament?
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Okay, good. I'm going to play it again.
They're saying $1 billion is where they are in their current TV deal for the 68-member tournament.
Yeah, the 68's ridiculous. No, I'd want 96.
It's never even been a consideration to expand the tournament to that number.
Oh, no, it has been.
Because...
It has been.
Has there been momentum to 96 teams?
I know that the NCAA has discussed it several times, and it will happen at some point because they'll want to get more money.
But you were offering it 10 years ago.
I know.
So what do you mean it'll happen one day?
It will happen one day.
You were already in the market offering more money for 96 and it was turned down, and we're here all these years later, 2 extensions later, and it's never been put to 96.
It's because of the beauty of a committee, and the committee decides that the right number, and this is now back to the football, is 4 to 12. The right number to go to is 8 or 16.
So you're saying that's a vestige of the politics that are now going to be irrelevant because the haves and have-nots are already very evidently one or the other.
So John Skipper, former skipper at ESPN years ago, said that the NCAA has already entertained expanding the tournament to 96 teams. And I obviously must have played this yesterday because I got a couple of tweets and bits of feedback, text during the show yesterday about it. People saying, I'm out, or sure, why not, or whatever their take was. Here's the frustrating thing about college sports. The frustrating thing is it doesn't really matter. There's a saturation point. There is a point where adding more does not get you more. Adding more games, adding more teams, adding more players, adding more whatever does not get you more. The March Madness tournament is a massive moneymaker for the NCAA. The belief, obviously, is more teams, more games, more eyeballs, more money. And that may very well be true. And it may be true going from 64 to 68. It had to be, or else they would have done it. It may be true going from 68 to 72, 72 to 76, 76 to 82, 82 to 86, all the way up to 96 or beyond. Maybe they take it to 100 teams down the line. A third of college basketball gets in. That is a possibility. The only thing the NCAA is concerned about, the only thing that the suits, let's be real clear, are concerned about is where is the number where we're not adding eyeballs? Where is the number that we're not adding audience? Because that is the number they will stop at. When the college football playoff went from 4 to 12, that was a big jump. But the reality is, for those of us that have done this for a long time, we already knew you guys were watching a 12-team playoff. Even if it was just out of intrigue to see how it looked in year number one, you were 100% watching 12. Now, the question is, if we take it to 16, will we add numbers or will the numbers stay stagnant? If we take it from 16 to 18, from 18 to 20, will more of you watch and will the rest of you watch more? Or is there a point where, and this is probably more apt for the basketball discussion than the football discussion, but will you say, as 96 teams, I do not care about the first round. Wake me up when that round ends, and I'll jump back in when we get it down to whatever the next number under 76 after an elimination round is, 30, whatever. Or will you say, hey, 76 ain't that much higher than 68? You're adding a handful of games. Sure, why not? I'm in. What about from that to 96? We're adding 20-some-odd basketball games to the equation. And this is the take I had earlier in the show. Y'all already don't watch the regular season games of a bunch of conferences who are going to send Cinderellas that you then all chant and cheer for when they show up in March. None of you watched an FAU regular season game before FAU made the run. None of you saw a St. Peter's game before the Peacocks became a big deal. None of you. And I'm not blind. That's not like I know it sounds bleepy. that I'm saying that. I'm not judging you for it. You have limited time in your life. Dedicating 2 hours to a mid-major college basketball regular season game is 2 hours you could be spending trying to make your life better. I understand it. I'm in a unique position. This is the first conversation I had when I was dating my wife. Just as a heads up, however much sports you think is a lot of sports, triple that, and that's how much sports I watch. But it's because I get paid for it. I don't get doing the show. I don't do the show. There's an old joke amongst us that are musicians, that were in bands. We play concerts for free. You pay us to bring our equipment in and out of the bar. You don't pay me to play the music. I do that with my buddies for fun. You pay me to throw all that heavy crap in a car, drive it to your bar, lug it up the stairs, set it up on the stage, break it down off the stage, lug it back down to my car, drive it back to the house, and unpack it from my car. That's what you pay me for. I get paid to watch mid-major basketball. That's why I watch more of it than y'all do. Because I got to be able to come in here and be able to get on the mic and say, McNeese State will upset Clemson. Are y'all listening to me? Calling that upset and be right about it. So the question mark is, for those of you that already don't watch regular season basketball and only tune in March, and you only tune in March because it's about you, because of your brackets. It's about you because you're entertained. Do you don't understand how many overtime and buzzer beater games there are in college basketball in the regular season? If you truly cared about overtimes and buzzer beaters, you'd watch college basketball in the regular season. But you don't. You're entertained because you get to watch a basketball team get sent home. Watch their dreams die on a buzzer beater like the Colorado State Rams did. That's why you're in. Which, again, I'm not judging you for it. I get it. You are in the 99%. There are 1% of us that watch regular season basketball and care, that watch the tournament and don't want to see a guy get away with traveling in order to hit a buzzer beater. I don't. I never have. I never will. So this whole concept of going to 96, the question mark is for a sport that already doesn't get people watching it in the regular season outside of their own team's games. Would more of you watch if there were more games? If we add 20 teams, 19 teams, 20 plus teams, 24 teams, 30 teams. If we add 10, 15, 20 plus games to the March bracket, are you going to keep watching? I'm not asking you because I care about your enjoyment of the tournament. I mean, I do. I hope you're enjoying it. It's a great tournament this year. But that's not why I asked the question. I asked the question because that answer is going to dictate whether this tournament expands or not. I asked that question because if the answer to that is yes, if we add a bunch more teams, which means we're going to get the West Virginia, who took the boot for North Carolina inexplicably this year. Those teams are going to be in. And the conversation is now going to be, is the Southern Conference going to get a second team in? Is Furman going to get to go to the dance this year alongside Wofford, who beat them in the SoCon Conference champion? Or is the SEC going to get all 16 teams into the field this year? Every SEC team's going to go because we got the room. I don't know. But if the answer is y'all will watch it, y'all will tune in if the first and second round have 10, 12, 20 more games, then they're going to expand it. Because as you just heard John Skipper say, and I am, for the sake of this conversation, taking him at his word. But his word was, he was prepared to offer $1 billion to expand the tournament to 96 games a couple of years ago. And the only reason it didn't is because the NCAA selection committee, basketball committee, effectively said, we don't know if it's going to be a return on investment. Like, we're going to get a Billy, but is it going to be worth it down the line? We don't know yet. That's because they want to come ask y'all this question. Are you going to watch if we let the West Virginias in? Are you going to watch if the Southern Conference has 2 teams instead of 1? Are you going to watch if we add 20 more potential Cinderellas to the mix? Or are you going to check out and just say, wake me up when they get into the 60s like normal? If they can, they're going to do it. If y'all won't, then they won't. It really is that simple. So we'll see. All right, let's take a break. 1 segment left. The Rob Brown Show rolls on after this. It's the Fan Upstate. I don't know, man. Kane, I'm the exact opposite on Duke. Duke has turned me all the way around. I went from thinking they were a bit overrated, probably leaning too heavy on the top end of their talent, to this team's good. Like, genuinely through and through good.
Wonder who narrated that.
I don't know, but it's so good. Hailing from the Gulf of America.
I wonder if it's one of the wrestlers who did it, or if it's just a voiceover guy. I wish they would start unmasking him everywhere, and it's somebody else every time they unmask him. I think that would be great.
Send out local jobbers every day.
Yeah.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the fan upstate, Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. We have talked Atlanta Braves ball on the show today. Did a little preview on them to end the 7 o'clock hour. We have talked some college basketball on the show today, back in the opening hour of the show. There is one more thing that I want to get to as we wrap up the radio broadcast here for the day. Team U.S. men's soccer, deal with it. I am in a weird spot. Because on one hand, I obviously want this team to do well. I want this country represented well on the grandest stage in all of athletics. And while you may not like it, the World Cup is the grandest stage in the world of athletics. So I want us to show up and do well. And over the past couple of years, I have been fed a belief that we're as good as we've ever been. Look at the roster. It has been called multiple times the golden age of U.S. soccer. We've got players like Reyna and Pulisic and McKinney, guys that are playing in top flight international leagues. On paper, we're as talented as we've ever been. Mauricio Pochettino comes over to become the head coach. For years, I got on this very microphone and I said, Greg Berhalter's got to go. He's just not the guy. He can't get the most out of this team. Well, he leaves. We get Mauricio Pochettino, a guy that those of us in the soccer world were stupid excited about showing up. And what hath happened, but we still stink. And I'm out of excuses, which leads me to the problem. As a guy who's got like 6 different Team USA soccer sweaters, shirts, jerseys, whatever you want to call them, hanging in the closet. As a guy who has a U.S. soccer poster hanging on the wall of the Bro Cave. As a guy who the other night made sure that there was an available TV in the Bro Cave, moved an extra TV into the Bro Cave so that I could have the Team USA versus Canada third place game in the CONCACAF Nation League on the TV. I watched us lose back-to-back games against Panama and Canada. And it's not just the losses. Because this is, again, it's not Spain, it's not Italy, it's not France, it's not Germany, but as CONCACAF goes, best on best. Losing games is one thing. The problem is we have now bumped up into a place I have spoken about before. That place being the spot where I feel like apathy is both appropriate and understood. Losing is one thing. Losing happens. Not trying doesn't. Having no drive doesn't. Having no fire doesn't. Having zero desire to pull on the shirt and go play for those of us out here in your fandom that also pull on the shirt when it is time for you to go play. That's where you lose me. And we're in a weird spot here because I kind of feel like we're at a crossroads here. Here's Alexi Lawless.
This U.S. team came out against Panama and fell flat on their face. There are 2 ways that you can look at this, Stu. One, you can take the long approach and you can say, obviously, nothing really matters until the summer of 2026. And yes, the sky is not falling. Or you can look at it and say, this is unacceptable. This was a lackluster performance. This was a performance that was devoid of any emotion, any passion, any determination, and any direction. It was rudderless from top to bottom, and not just to score the individual performances. This is on the players, and this is on Pochettino. Is the sky falling? No, but this is not good enough. And Mauricio Pochettino's job is to make us believe that something different is there, that something new is there, that we are going to see something that we haven't seen before. And guess what, my friends? We've seen that before. We do not want to see it again.
Now, Alexi Lawless has a lot of sports takes that I'm not on board with. A lot of takes in general I'm not on board with. I have said this before, and I'll say it again. I've said it about coworkers. I've said it about friends. I've said it about broadcasters. I've said it to a lot of people. There is a group of folks that you can trust when the take is correct, when they and I agree on a thing. Because we might disagree on just about everything else. Alexi Lawless is in that group. Mark Ryan was in that group. Hell, to some degree, to be honest with you, Diesel's in that group. If we disagree on a take, it's probably a good take. Or excuse me, if we agree on a take, it's probably a good take because we disagree on most takes. I disagree with Alexi Lawless on a lot of what he said over the years about U.S. soccer and other topics. But I'm fully with him on this one. This was a problematic 2 games. Not because we lost. Losing happens. It's sports. If losing wasn't a possibility, sports would be boring and pointless. Not because we lost, but because it just wasn't good enough. It just, the effort was not good enough. The tactics weren't good enough. The strategy wasn't good enough. The creativity, lack thereof, was not good enough. The finishing wasn't good enough. The backline defending wasn't good enough. Just nothing has been good enough. And the problem I have is that it has been not good enough for upwards of 7 years now. At what point, if I want this team and this program and this organization to be great, at what point is it okay for me as a fan to say, bleep this, I'm done? At what point do I recognize that I am pointlessly bashing my head against a wall that is never going to move before I go, yep, I'm walking away. This is never going to change. This is never going to get better. It's never going to resolve. It's never going to fix itself because the people at the top have decided, well, this is what's best for us and this is what makes us the most money. So we don't really care about success or winning or trophies or any of that. And again, it's no different in any other sport. The owner of your favorite NFL team, they may want to go out there and say, oh, I want to win Lombardis. I want to win trophies. I want to win whatever. The real answer is they want to make money. This is why I am so on board with the USL going promotion relegation in building their version of professional football at the highest level in America. Because the only people who never get punished in sports are the people who own and run leagues and programs. We keep giving them money. They keep making money. TV networks keep giving them money. They keep making money. There's no punishment for not trying to be better. There's no punishment for not trying to figure it out. If the Cowboys stay bad for 30 years, somebody made the point the other day, Jalen Hurts just won a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts has been born, raised, went to high school and won, went to college and won, picked up a natty, went to the NFL, went to 2 Super Bowls and won one, all since the last time Dallas went to an NFC championship game. And what has happened to Jerry Jones in that time? Not a damn thing. He's just gotten progressively richer because there's no punishment for not doing that. There's none. There will be in promotion relegation. I'm in on USL. Even if I have to deal with the fact that one day in the future, perhaps, the Greenville Triumph have a real bad year. They stack up some injuries, whatever, and they get relegated down a league. And now my sports watching experience as a Triumph fan suffers because of it. The benefit of people like Joe and Doug and Chris getting rewarded with a promotion to a higher league and the more money and benefits and resources that come with it, to me, is better than the risk of being relegated and losing those things. Team US Soccer is not doing anything. Why? Because there's no punishment. Because people like me keep tuning in and trying to support. I keep buying jerseys. I keep watching the games. Whenever Team USA plays in Charlotte or Atlanta, I buy tickets and I go. I'm giving them all of the dollar bills, y'all. And I got to stop. because it's just not good enough. And they're not trying to get better. We have created a system in America, unlike they do in other countries. You know, the countries that are good. We have created a system in America where if you want to find a pathway to the United States Soccer Federation, you've got to be able to pay for years and years of very expensive travel ball to put yourself on the USSF map. We don't have a system like they do in Brazil, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, England, that goes and scouts every neighborhood. Rich neighborhoods, poor neighborhoods, high-level communities, low-level communities, black, white, Asian, whatever, Latino, and goes and says, we're going to find the best talent, and if they come from a family with nothing, we're going to find a way to make sure that we get that kid ready to go play international ball. We're going to get that kid ready to go play on the World Cup stage. We don't do that. You got to buy your way in. And it seems to me like the only way that's ever going to change is create a world in which the USSF feels pain. Because I'm tired of the Nations Cup semifinals being played on American soil in Los Angeles, California, and we get relegated to the 4 p.m. game on a weekday, on a work day. 4 p.m. on a work day. People can't go. Oh, and by the way, the tickets are north of $100 in an NFL stadium, north of $100. They sold out to Mexico. What are we doing? What are we doing? So I'm getting to the point, I may already be there, that I'm just done. I'll come on here, I'll roast them because they deserve nothing else. Hell, I'm at the point where I'm going to roast the players because they've adopted the attitude of it doesn't matter. We're just going to go do our thing and we'll get paid for it. I think I've hit the point of apathy, and it makes me sad.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
It's something that never makes Rob sad. It's What the X, where I tell Rob what is trending, and he will let us know what the X is going on. The first thing Xing is Rick Pitino.
Rick Pitino, of course, his St. John's Red Storm got bounced from the tournament by John Cal and Arkansas. I don't know why Rick's trending. What I will say is this. My favorite thing in this tournament was the lead up to that game where Rick Pitino and John Cal had to pretend like they don't flat out outright hate each other. That was so much fun.
All right, Rick is trending because he was at his son's game, and there was a lady behind him who had very big eyes. And a site is offering her $200,000 to reveal her eyes.
Man, she better send Rick Pitino like a 15%
Have you seen it?
I have not.
You have. How have you gotten around it and not seen that?
I want to know. Lonzo just told me to Google some boobs. That's what just happened.
I was talking about eyes, dude. I'm not talking about.
Oh, she's getting paid $200,000 to reveal the things that are clearly already on TV. Feels like maybe Rick Pitino search. Are we stopping the show for this? Yes, we are. Oh, okay. Yep. Nope. She is.
There you go.
Well endowed.
There you go.
I mean, good for her. And I guess Rick Pitino if he turned around.
Got some good news. I just got texted something about a certain guest that we want.
Whoa! That's exciting.
All right, it'll have to be recorded.
Don't care.
Okay, well.
2:30 in the morning, if that's what it takes, I'll be there.
I'll tell you about it after the show. All right, the next thing that's Xing.
Y'all are going to want to hear this one.
The next thing that is Xing is Bobby Flay.
Bobby Flay I'm a big Bobby Flay guy. Beat Bobby Flay is a great show. You want to know why? Because everybody on that show has more personality than Bobby Flay. Great chef. Of the celebrity TV chefs, easily the most boring. Trending because it's his 56th birthday.
No, because we are TMZ and all that kind of stuff. He is dating one of the chefs on the, her name is Brooke Williamson.
Like from one of his shows?
Yeah. He's dating so it's big news apparently.
Hey.
Big enough news for it to be.
I'm sure in the TV chef world, that's got to be a big deal.
I didn't want to like Bobby Flay.
Food Network co-star Brooke Williamson.
Yeah, I didn't want to like Bobby Flay, but I kind of do.
I like Bobby Flay. It's just like I said. It's he stands in stark contrast because all the other TV chefs, they all have their gimmick. Like Gordon's is to yell and cuss a lot, except when he's working with kids, in which case he's like the sweetest man on earth when he works with kids. Guy Fieri, he's got his whole shtick. By the way, big Guy Fieri fan over here. I'm tired of the Guy Fieri slander. He deserves better. He's an amazing person.
I wish you'd do your hair like that.
Bobby Flay is the most could live next door and you'd never know he was a TV guy chef. But he's also probably the best cook.
If you lived next door, you would know because you'd be smelling that food. Be like, man, how did I get an invite, Bob? You know,
I have just been informed. I'm gonna have to validate this during the 21-hour break we're gonna start. Apparently, on the Jersey Mike's app, you can bet on hockey, but for Jersey Mike's rewards app points.
You can't. I mean, that's gambling.
No money's changing hands?
Yeah, I don't think you can do that.
No money's changing hands. If I bet you right now, if I bet you lunch, I could go outside and run a 40 faster than you. That's totally legal.
Dude, that would be a horrible bet. Of course you can. I can't walk across the room.
Poor Lonzo. Hey, that's it for us. I just realized that. Thanks for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day. Don't drink and drive. I will punch you in the face. Come back tomorrow because we're going to do it again, and it's probably going to be better. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you back here tomorrow to do it all over again, but probably better, on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later. That show sucked, and I apologize to all of you for it.
Yeah, whatever.
Thanks for sticking through it. 69 viewers. Nice. I'm leaving. Have a great rest of your day. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.